All right. Hey, this is exciting. Okay, I think we're pretty much ready to kick off here. So let's just do the thing like we normally would do here.
Let's do it.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, lurkers, regulars, GMO people, organic people.
Boiler room inbound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. All right. Let me turn it up. I want my headphones nice and loud tonight. I'll be able to hear this real good. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to the Boiler Room. I am your host. My call sign is Hesher, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight here in the Boiler Room. It is April the 28th, 2022. It's been a while since we've done one of these live on the YouTubes. What's up, YouTubes? Sorry for the meandering intro. Pretty sure I can't edit live streams, but hey, haven't really started one of those before, so got to kind of climb that learning curve. But hey, it's great to see everybody tonight. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Boiler Room. We are the Social Rejects Club, and we are very pleased that you are here with us tonight on this live stream or listening to this on a podcast or a restream, whatever. And let's see here. We'll just get right into the big news. The big news tonight, everybody, is we are on rockfin.com. Finally, yes, we finally arrived. I want to thank Rockfin for their patience while we were kind of getting ourselves set up here. We've been, as those of you that listen to our podcast weekly know, we have been in the midst of a large relaunch and rebuilding the website. And we were contacted by Rockfin back in January, I believe, and asked if we would like to stream on Rockfin. And I believe that was our good friend and colleague, Mr. Dyer, that gave us the nod of the hat over there to Rockfin and let them know that we were out here and that we might like to play in the sandbox over there. I guess I should maybe call it an octagon. Yes, in the octagon. Yeah, that's right. Of Rockfin. So yeah, thanks Jay, and thanks Rockfin for having us. It's great to be here tonight. We went through a complete crash course getting ready today, so we're kind of just here. We've arrived, the social rejects have arrived, and that is the important thing tonight. I have zero show planned, zero notes, no nothing. All I know is we are streaming on Rockfin on YouTube and Spreaker per usual. Not over on the Mixcloud tonight. Mixcloud, it's been real. Thanks for letting us hang out while we kind of got our stuff tuned. But we're going to be, we will still rely on Mixcloud for our mixtapes where we do Saturday nights. If you're new to the Boiler Room, Boiler Room is one of several flagship shows at alternatecurrentradio.com, our website where you can find all the shows. So if you're new over here, that's where you find us, alternatecurrentradio.com. And over there, you'll find our new website. That's what we've been working on for the last 6 months. And we've also been rebuilding a whole bunch of stuff for the back end there. Hey, Conrad, I don't know how that happened, but thank you. Thank you very much. I think we just got our first Rockfin tip. So, hey, man. Hey, that's like, remember in the old days when you start a business and you get to make that first dollar and you put it in a frame and put it on the wall? Well, hey, there you go, Conrad. You're that guy. But it's all digital now, I guess. So I don't know how I'm going to frame it and put it on the Boiler Room wall. But hey, man, awesome. Very cool. We appreciate that. Yes. But anyways, that was exciting and distracted me, and it's fun. So great to be on the live stream with you guys. We've got a fun hangout tonight. We've got a great contingency of the Social Rejects Club here joining us. I think I was just telling everybody that we're just really pleased to be here on Rockfin. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Rockfin, for the referral and the invite. respectively. So visit us on the web, alternatecurrentradio.com. You can find out everything you want to know about myself, my lovely co-host Spore, and we're adding more and more information. We're building out the website. We're backfilling all the podcasts. We have thousands of hours of podcasts that we had to nuke and are completely rebuilding along with the website. So appreciate everybody's patience while we've been getting that done, and also appreciate people like Conrad and everybody that threw in last week. We had our kickoff, our 420 lit stream, if you will, kicking off the Shilling for Sanity live stream, and it's been very nice so far. So really fun. Had a good time doing that. Mindspace has gone ahead and taken an excerpt from that 420 show, and we're going to be premiering that tonight on our YouTube. I don't know if YouTube can like upload and premiere a scheduled video while we're on a live stream. I may have done a Ghostbusters like stream cross there with the YouTube phaser blaster, but we'll see what happens. At any rate, that's up on our BitChute also. Alternate Current Radio and the Boiler Room are all over the internet, and we're just getting more and more ubiquitous out there. So good luck. Good luck staying away from the Boiler Room. We're going to be everywhere. We're going to be all up in your grill. That goes for Alternate Current Radio too. All right. Well, let's say hi to everybody. Let's give this thing a test. Let's make sure we can hear everybody. Okay. We weren't too sure about that earlier, but go into the let's try this layout. And I will welcome Mindspace Art first. Mindspace Art hosts a podcast called Soul Purpose here at Alternate Current Radio, and he is the mastermind behind our wonderful music videos, our excerpt videos, pretty much anything that looks sweet on video has his hands in it. Mindspace, welcome to the Boiler Room. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thankful to be here on this night of testing many things to see if it all works with the bells and whistles. This is a good opportunity. It's always, nice to be able to check out the new tech and see how we can, get our voices out there, because there's a lot of importance to what we have to say on these shows. And doggone it, we should, be on every platform that we can be. So, I'm really thankful to be a part of it, and thank you for having me on the show.
Hey man, it's great to have you. Thank you, Spore, for the little production notes there. You're helping me out. It's good to see those. There is a little bit of lag there though when you're watching it on that stream, but yeah, that's really cool. We got some new features in here. It's going to be fun to test them out. I'm kind of just bopping through them here to see which one's best as I go through intros. But Mindspace, yeah, it's great to have you. Everybody check out the Soul Purpose podcast. Always new stuff coming up there, and check out the videos section at alternatecurrentradio.com. All right, let's welcome Mr. Pharaoh, Infidel Pharaoh. How's it going, man? Welcome to the Boiler Room. Oh my God, what am I doing? Exit full screen. I'm getting confused here. Infidel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be with you and with everybody on another episode of Boiler Room. I was just trying to count how many Boiler Rooms I've been on.
Oh man! What? Well, I tell you what. I've been
7 years, 6 years maybe.
I tell you what, dude. Check it out. Let's see here. Let me go. What about this mode? All right, that looks kind of cool. I'm still getting the hang of how to switch through all my my participants here on this app, everybody. But Infidel, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a couple things worth noting. It is April. We're closing out on April here, and the first Boiler Room episode number 1 was in April of 2015, I believe. And you came in at some point in late 15 or early 16. I think it might have been late 15.
16. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and we're on episode 458 tonight. And so we can only guess, but I have been doing this thing where, as I'm backfilling all of the Boiler Room podcasts on the new website, I'm making sure that there's a searchable tag with all the members on it. So at some point when the archive is completely backfilled, you should be able to actually search that out and get like a giant set of search results where you can find every episode you were ever on.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be great if once we start indexing those.
Absolutely, man. We got some great plans. We're also going to be doing what do you call it, transcripts on all those. So it'll be much easier to find things that were said and talked about in the archives without having to find the needle in the haystack of audio or video.
Yeah, no, that's great work, man. For our listeners out there, don't forget we still have the April drive. So come in and chip, help us get to the next stage.
Yeah, that's right. We're shilling for sanity. That's what we're calling our spring donation drive this year. Shilling for sanity, because we have a lot of people tell us, hey, you guys help keep me sane when things are weird. So we really appreciate that. Collectively, we've gotten that message so many times across all the shows here at ACR. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're shilling for our own and everyone else's sanity in a world of corrupt media, corrupt politics. All the pillars of society seem to be corrupt, and we're just trying to keep it real, trying to keep everybody honest, and keep the information flowing. That's all we really want to do.
Keep it real, man.
Yeah.
Remember when we met in Austin?
Yep, that's right.
Said, keep it real.
That's right. Or remember what Infidel said on that one stream, like that first stream we did? It was either Sunday Wire or Boiler Room when he first got on air with us face to face.
When we were in Austin.
Yeah.
I want to find that. I'm gonna find that, because you're like this. I don't remember exactly the quote, but you're like,
great.
This is no bullshit. You remember what it was, Asher?
Yeah, there's no bullshit here.
These are real people.
Yes. Yeah. So and the other thing, the other big goal with our donation drive and our business relaunch and our media relaunch and everything, our launching on video, we want to be uncancelable. We really want to endeavor for you folks out there that listen to this show, that require this show and others like it, to stay sane, to know that you're not alone. It's really important for us to be uncancelable moving forward, and that means that we're going to have to be right there at the bleeding edge of Web 3.0. If you don't know what that means, it has a lot to do with blockchain and getting off of corporate mass media cartel owned and associated platforms. So yeah, let's see here. That's really important to us. How do I do that, Sport? Let's see here. I'm trying to, I don't even know. Let's see. We'll just go back to group. There we go. But yeah, it's really important to us to not be cancelable. We don't want to have a single point of failure financially, broadcast wise, social media wise, collaboration suite wise. There's so many facets to what we do, and assets that are important to what we do, that we're really spending a lot of time looking at which podcast index to be on. For example, if I were to just talk about audio podcasting, there's a huge vulnerability that we all face in the mainstream podcasting platforms, as convenient as they are, and that's that Google and Apple own them. Those are the two companies that own the primary podcasting index. So even if you don't get deplatformed by a podcasting host, there's always a chance that you can get shadow banned or removed from the index itself if Apple or Google decides so. And this, they've been pretty lenient so far with that kind of stuff. I don't really hear about a lot of podcasts getting, crap canned, but I have a feeling a lot of us are under shadow ban. And I've looked at the way they work the explore sections and the boosted sections of a lot of these platforms, and they'll take like alternate current radio, for example. We've always been in the top 5 to 10 live stream channels at our host, yet we've never once been featured on the front page. So what does that say? I don't know. But our goal is to have our collaboration suite in the blockchain. And our collaboration suite right now is Discord. We're building a parallel one, which is a major effort in the blockchain right now. People are we already have some of our regulars in there helping us test it. The podcasting app, I'm going to say it for the first time right now. If you grab a podcasting app called Fountain, all right, Fountain, you can make sure we're already there. We're already uncancelable. Our voice is already uncancelable because we're on Fountain and we're on other podcasting 2.0 applications. And what is a podcasting 2.0 application? It's uncancelable. All right. It's not indexed by Apple and Google. So there we are. We're already making strides toward this. We've got our collaboration suite and Hangout, the Social Rejects Clubhouse. Currently, it's in Discord because we're good humans and Discord still likes us. But someday, if Discord deems you not a good human for some reason, they can cancel you. It says it in their terms of services. We don't understand it, but we're just wary of it. And to us, it means people can arbitrarily be kicked out. And we're going to have a new clubhouse. It's already set up. You've already heard us broadcast from it. Same with the audio stream, Fountain. You can get Boiler Room on Fountain. You can support us on Fountain. There's a crypto wallet attached to it. There's a value for value exchange via crypto. Some of this stuff, folks, some of this Web 3.0 stuff is a little heady. It's a little new. It's a little tech oriented. It's a little nerdy. It's a little fidgety. It's a little slow. But we cannot exist in a controlled environment where we're not allowed to say what we want to say. I saw on I know I'm extended intro here, but since we have a new platform going here that is related to what I'm talking about, I think it's worth saying. I heard today that Mint Press and a couple of other people were canceled from PayPal. And I know that Mint Press is an independent outfit. And I don't know them. I think I have colleagues that know them. But as an independent outlet, knowing how difficult it is to get one of these off the ground, keep it off the ground, that's a real bummer to me. That's a downer. That's a blow against the conversation as a whole. To have that happen to them. But it's just an example. They weren't the only one. There's a new purge happening, and you never know where it's going to hit next. So a big part of our business relaunch is getting ourselves poised to where we can't be knocked out by Google or Apple or any other giant. So we're getting hooked up with the crypto wallets that are associated with Rockfin and with Fountain right now. So Rockfin, thank you for having us. Rockfin is another place where we are basically uncancelable. I mean, they are a company like all the other ones. I'm sure they can do what they want, but they have promised to us and to their audience that they support our free speech, our media analysis, and the kind of things that we like to do here in the Boiler Room. So, and you also have means to support us there via Rockfin. There is a tip jar over there at Rockfin. And some people have hit it already, and we highly appreciate that. Add Ruckus back to the stream here. All right, making sure we got everybody. We do. So yeah, that's one facet of where we're headed, folks. And oh wow, all right, Awake Jake, thank you, man. Very cool. Awake Jake just threw into the new tip jar. Is that part of the swear jar? I'm gonna have to change my thinking on where the swear jar actually is. But yeah, that's where we're headed, everybody. And oh, that's cool. No, okay, I see how to do the solo layouts. That's much better. All right. Well, yeah. So Infidel, thank you, man, for reminding me to go down that rabbit hole, because that's one of the things, man. That's one of the things that's always been looming over all our heads since, the adpocalypse started back in, October of 2017. What happens? Where do we go next? Well, we, my friend, are going to be right at the forefront of that. So those of our techie users out there that want to get the podcast on Fountain, check it out. You can support us via Fountain, and you'll know that we're uncancelable there. And there's other stuff coming too. Like we got an email list coming, we got membership coming, all that stuff. So it's going to be impossible for you to lose your connection to alternate current radio. All right. Wandering Wolf. Let's welcome the Wandering Wolf to the boiler room tonight. Mr. Corey Drayton, welcome, and how are you doing?
Hey, Ash, thanks for having me, and good evening to everyone out there, or good morning, wherever you happen to be. I'm doing fantastic. It's been a crazy day, but like I was saying earlier, being here with you fine people is the calmest part of my day. It's often the most satisfying part of the day, too. And that's one of the reasons, I was thinking why we're doing this drive, trying to raise a little bit of support for the network. And I know, Heshna, you and I have had a lot of conversations in the background. And one of the things I think is that I work on a lot of sets, I work on a lot of projects, but the energy being a part of ACR is just different. And that's so incredibly special to me. And that's one of the biggest reasons I think to support the network. And I want to encourage everyone out there, to support in any way you can, because really what we have is a solid team of good people doing important work. And we need as much of that energy out there in the world as humanly possible. So I'm honored to be a part of it. And thanks for having me back tonight.
All right. Yes. Very glad to have you tonight. Mr. Drayton, great to see you. The microphone, the studio's looking great, by the way. It looks really good, man. Excellent work there. All right. Let's welcome the man behind the Daily Ruckus to the show here. Ruckus, among us. What is going on? Welcome to the boiler room.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's a miracle. I had to switch back to my computer because the phone totally wasn't working. So now we just have to bear with the annoying computer noises occasionally. But hey, who knows? If we're extra super successful with the spring donation drive, we might be able to afford the people such as myself who occasionally run into these problems to borrow better equipment for a time being until we pass it along to the next one. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
But about all of that, folks, yeah, I just, if you guys do use Facebook and Twitter and all that, make sure you share that Shilling for Sanity video if possible, because I think it was just a brilliant piece, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that literally overnight by Mindspace Art. He did a beautiful job with that, and it's like 7 minutes, and I've heard so many instances where people have been sharing it with their own friends and family, and they're like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it, because they're too busy for 7 minutes. But the more you pump it out there on social media, it'll fall into the right hands, and then the right ears will get to see the message and what we believe in, and they may realize, as I posted for on the main page on behalf of the network today on Facebook about it, the mainstream media is shilling for the war machine, and some people in the alternative media, such as who are shilling for their compensatory damages, the money they got to pay out to their legal bills. But we're shilling for a future and for our sanity and yours. So we do appreciate every little bit that you do help us move towards this next phase, and I'm excited. And look, I'm using something I've never heard of before in my entire life, and here we are. So the learning curve has been quite a big one, but I think if anyone can handle it, we can do it. What do you think, Asher?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It has been a crushing learning curve over the last 6 months, but man, I look back, and it's like, I look forward, I'm looking up this hill, just going, whoa, we got a ways to climb here. But then I look down, and it's like, do not look down. We are high up right now. We're at that phase in the analog mountain climb there, where I'm helping you up, you're helping me up. Mindspace comes along, helps us both out. Infidel comes along, helps us. You know what I mean? Wandering Wolf comes in, Spore. We're all helping each other up the thing here. CS Joseph, man, helping out big time. So yeah, everybody kicking in and really, really making this happen, and we're super excited about where it's all headed. And yeah, I mean, we may have had a bit of a slow meandering start on the stream tonight, but look where we're at. We're looking pretty good. We're streaming on multiple platforms here, and content looks really good from what I can tell. I didn't even hear your computer in the background, Ruckus. You're looking and sounding better than ever. Speaking of that, you know who else is looking better than ever here is the lovely Spore. Lovely Spore, welcome to the Boiler Room. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I love your background. It looks cool.
Thanks. It's from one of my favorite graphic artists, Suicide by Safety Pin.
Nice. All right. Shout out to Suicide by Safety Pin. That artist has been part of our lives for a long time, believe it or not, right, Spore?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. Well, folks, if you're new around here, we switch it over to the lovely Spore to break the ice. Pretty much every Boiler Room. That's where we get started after I'm done, taking up all this airtime. Spore, what are we kicking off with tonight?
This one is from Bad Andy. And I do have a couple extra ones. We might do a double or triple icebreaker tonight. But this one is from Bad Andy. It's titled Snicker Responds to Claims It Removed the Dick Vein from Its Chocolate.
The what? Who dared? That's so crass. Who referred to it as that? That's just horrible.
So apparently there was a rumor going around saying that they were removing those ripples off the top of Snickers. Y'all know what we're talking about here, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was a tweet that went out. It's already beginning. I just bought a Snickers, my favorite treat, might I add. And it came out completely smooth. I am disgusted. I am shocked. I need to be alone right now. So Izzy just put a eggplant with veins on it into the chat.
He's right. That does look kind of Snickers-esque and a little phallic.
Yeah, and then they put a picture that I guess it had been photoshopped. It was just all based on a rumor, and Snickers had to come out and say, no, we didn't remove the ripples from our chocolate, otherwise known as their dick veins. But there was a Photoshop Snickers put into the tweet that was very smooth looking and didn't have the dick veins.
The D veins on the Snicker bar. Oh boy. Okay, I don't know what to say. MySpace art. Have you ever even considered that about a Snickers bar? I mean, I'm not a big Snickers fan. I was more of a Milky Way guy, but I feel like they had kind of the same texture.
Right. Yeah. No, I hadn't figured that about this the candy bar, but I wouldn't be surprised. You really don't know what's real and what's not in this crazy world when a story like that gains traction. Because yes, guys, even candy bars can get canceled. Okay, that's how extreme the psychic weather is of our current era. So yeah, I mean, I think when I was younger, I used to watch these shows. They had they'd bring you into the sweets factory where you have to they'd show you the process of how they made each candy and all of that. So, I mean, hey, you got to, if this is the case here, you got to go back to all those episodes, make sure it's all pixelated, cover it up, so that the audience doesn't get offended. But yeah, I mean, this is another bit of ludicrous. I don't know how many people believed this or, how this made the rounds, but I guess that anything will go around these days.
Oh yeah, great clickbait though. Oh my gosh, because I had never had that crass thought in my head about the candy bar before. I can see why I'm like, why didn't I? Now that it's been inserted there, of course.
Right?
But what is that? Why didn't I think of that? Yeah.
Oh, my whole life the Snickers have been around, and I've never heard of those chocolate ripples being referred to as dick veins. I feel like I was missing out.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I heard they are also trying to remove the nuts from it.
Yes. Infidel, what do you make of this one, man? Anything? Any other thoughts on that?
No, not really. I mean, I was never a big Snicker fan myself. Actually, I didn't like the taste. So
A little
I like
waxy.
Mars. Yeah, I actually used to like Mars more, but I don't eat any of this crap right now. But
Yeah. I don't either, man. If you look at the back, and folks, you can fact check me on this. If you look at the back of a M&M's, it probably a bunch of things from the Mars Candy Company, but if you look at the back of M&M's, it's got some creepy phraseology about how it's made with genetically modified materials. Like, it's really weird the way that, a lot of places don't like to say that, but they like put it on blast on the candy bar. Like, you're supposed to think it's cool, I guess, that it's made with GMO materials. I just think that is weird beyond all
well,
weird,
it has partially hydrogenated soybean oil,
right? You should expect that to be GMO, right?
corn syrup,
Again, yeah.
sugar, skim milk, has butter, milk fat, some artificial flavors.
Surprised they use real butter.
I know.
If I remember correctly, the M&Ms that we saw with the GMO warning, it wasn't in the ingredients. It just said it at the very bottom, like, this may be genetically modified.
Right. It wasn't in the ingredients. You're right. Yeah, it was like an add-on. I don't know. It was really weird. Like, if someone Google the package, on the back of the package, you can see it there probably. I mean, it's been a while since I looked at it, but
Yeah, it's one of the best decisions I took in my life is to stop all this sugar and crap. Toxic. It's seriously, it is actually toxins.
Absolutely. So much GMO in those products, it's ridiculous. And apparently, I guess we're just supposed to think it's cool because most anything you get that's got that soy, but GMO soy or GMO corn based syrup, whatever in it, like they don't go lauding, hey, these are genetically modified products. Like, there's something about Mars company that's a little weird to me.
Oh, they have organic corn syrup right now. Is that any better? I don't think so.
It's like it includes organic corn syrup and genetically modified organisms.
It's amazing, this whole organic fad right now. Actually, like, they stick organic. There is actually soda water right now, organic soda water. I'm like, what's that even mean? Organic soda water?
It's the same thing they did with gluten free, right? Like, they'll put it on totally irrelevant products that you'd never expect there to be any kind of gluten in it at all, but they'll just slap it on there now because they're just going off of the trend,
Right.
But
they've been doing that for decades. I remember in the 80s when it was like the no fat diet phase or trend, and I remember going into the grocery store and seeing a container of red vines and it said fat free, like, as if there was ever fat in red vines, but it's loaded with sugar, which will make you fat. So
right
for quite a long time.
They're just playing constantly on this, I say, this paranoia that people have about food because they know that there's something killing us. We're not sure what it is. That this era, this decade, will say that it's fat. Here now it's gluten, it's this, it's that. But it shows that it's like the Wild West out there in terms of the ingredients that they're putting out. It's not easy as a consumer, if you will, to make those good decisions if you believe that a standard American diet, aka the socially engineered diet that's foisted upon the population, is in any way acceptable. But you're better off just sticking to a ribeye.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sure.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say it's just that FDA food pyramid that always gets changed according to lobbyists and the food lobbying, that what they push for, right?
Yep.
So it's all really money, and it's one of the biggest contribution for US is this like nasty diet that they and processed food that they exported to everywhere right now in the world. Sadly, why everybody's getting fat.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
All
have you
right.
ever heard of cocaine being GMO?
Oh, what? Wait, what?
Have you ever heard of organic cocaine?
Uh, I don't know. I don't
Uh,
know a lot about the whole growing of coca.
It would be, right? Well, the only reason I mention it is because Elon Musk put a tweet out.
He is a twit.
He's a tweeter. He's the ultimate tweeter twit now.
He said, "Next, I am buying Coca-Cola to put cocaine back in it."
What
He
a
really
troll.
said that.
he loves trolling.
He does. Oh, that's
I think he posted a picture of a McDonald's milkshake, and he said like, "I cannot make that. I'm not a magician. I cannot make that healthy," or something like that. I forgot. I will have to pull that tweet up.
yeah. Oh, it's just hilarious. All right, let's see here. What about you, Wandering Wolf, man? Weigh in on this here. Candy bars with dick veins. How rude.
This one's really bizarre. I'm not one for candy bars anyway. I've always preferred savory to sweet, but I don't think I've ever looked at a Snickers bar and made the connection between the texture and a dick vein. And so I kind of wonder, yeah, okay, someone had to be responsible for the initial thought of that association, and I'm just wondering what was going on in their personal life that that led them to that insight. And it just the sort of the woke virtue signaling behind all of this, and with all the nastiness that is in that candy bar, the thing that they're most proud of removing is the dick vein. I please stop the planet. I'm ready to get off.
Yeah, enough. I got to say though, when I looked at the the featured image for the article there, it looks photoshopped to me. I mean, to the untrained eye, yeah, but if you don't even have to squint very hard to kind of see where they use the rubber stamp feature, especially on the side there. So,
Guys, you have to embrace the bromance mindset. That's how you're gonna see those dick veins and enjoy it.
oh, that's right, because we learned last week how the bromance has escalated. We got Jay in the audience. What's up, Jay? Good to see you, man. He was there when the cuddle party was brought into the boiler room lexicon, if you will. And man, last week we had to look at that one more time. It has evolved into something even skankier. And yeah, apparently hanging out with your bros and having a bromance could involve talking about dick veins.
You can share a Snicker with your bros. That's a great exercise.
Right? Yeah, that's right. And according to that degenerate article last week, share a tongue kiss also, and that's totally normal. So, all right. The media dumpster fire continues. Ruckus, what about you, man? Any thoughts on this one? He's like, no, let me out of this one.
Come on. I mean, I got to give them credit. They really said what all of us were thinking. I know Spore said she didn't think that, but I mean, we all just have like absolute gutter trash brains. It's been beaten into us since we were young. So at some point in our life, whether we realize it or not, we must have looked at that and said, man, you know what? That looks like a dick. It's got veins on it. What's up with that? So yeah, I don't know. Is this true story? Is this fake news? Is that Photoshop, like you said, Hesher?
No, it says in the article it was Photoshop. It is the fact that they were going to do it was fake news, but there was a bunch of people that were like, going out onto social media and being upset about it.
Okay, so they're not going to do it. They're going to leave it.
I almost, when I started reading the article, I almost went and bought a Snickers because for me, honestly, Ruckus, I'd never thought the chocolate ripples were dick veins until today when I read that, and I was like, duh. Like,
well, God bless you. Maybe we're just a bunch of like Beavis and Butthead degenerates. I don't know.
You guys are.
So, I'm just saying. I don't know. Here's the other problem is that it doesn't surprise me if they did that intentionally to make it look like that. That's an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is their slogan, their marketing strategy for the longest time, they said it. It was right in your face. They said it's packed with penis and it really satisfies.
All right. I guess, yeah, we missed that one. It was
Fair enough.
it was in our face, Spore.
Apparently, dick in the face.
All right. All right. Well, I don't know. I'm glad they're not making them smooth. I think I don't like the Photoshop version. If I have to give my my visceral angry tweet reaction, if I thought it was real, I would agree. Oh, how dare you? How dare you take those out? To me, though, I always remember in the commercials back in the day, they would always they took great effort, especially in, it may have even been in a Snickers commercial. They would take great effort to show like milk chocolate like drizzling along this piece of nougat, right? And it like it drizzles in a certain way where you expect there to be a little ridge or something like that. So I think that advertising imagery, it speaks a lot to the power of imagery in advertising, because if maybe someone a little bit younger than me never saw that particular ad campaign, and they've only seen the ad campaign where the unicorn is crapping in like a soft serve into an ice cream cone thing, like that mindset, a little bit of a younger mindset might just go straight to the toilet with, you know, any sort of food libation. You know what I mean, Wandering Wolf? Like there's something there, right, with the imagery that got burned into my brain as a youth.
Yeah, there is definitely something there. Because I'm certainly old enough to kind of remember the same ads. And you know, interestingly enough, I've shot food commercials many times, certainly over the last 12 to 15 years, and it's crazy how many people don't realize all of the disgusting industrial chemicals we put into the food to make it look good for camera, because you can't just set down a plate of food in front of a camera and light it and have it look the way it does on TV. So we're putting in acrylic sprays. Rubber cement is how we get flames to look a certain way on camera. And there's all kinds of other compounds that are specifically made to be put in food to make it look more saturated, to bring out the greens, to make the meat look red and fresh and succulent and juicy. All of that stuff is a plethora of industrial chemicals that are completely disgusting. And we end up wasting a lot of that food on the set because we can't use one piece of steak and expect it to stay fresh for a 15-hour shoot. So we're going through an entire cooler of steak that has chemicals slathered onto it just to look good on camera. No one gets to eat it. So it's particularly disgusting what actually goes into creating an image of food that makes people feel, hey, I want to eat that. No, you definitely don't.
Oh yeah. Fake reality, so much fake reality in media. Amazing though, the way that it can affect you. It's like, I mean, we've all seen one of those. Maybe someone, are you, let me ask you then, are you somewhat protected from looking at the TV and seeing like a pizza commercial? Like we were out the other night having a hamburger, a nice healthy hamburger, you know, medium rare, no bun. But I look up at the screen up there and they're showing a Domino's commercial, and I'm immediately like, that looks fucking great. I hate that stuff. I feel sick as soon as I haven't eaten it in 2 years or more. And as soon as I do, like, I feel awful, but it always tastes good. So when do you have the superpower of not having that reaction like I had? Because I even know what it's going to do to me. I know I don't really want it, but I see it on those, and I'm like, yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, that's an excellent question and point. Yeah, I definitely do. I can't look at any of those commercials now and not know exactly what into making the cheese look a certain way, making the bread and meat look a certain way. I know exactly what chemicals are used and exactly how long it sat there while a DP like myself is lighting it and just getting the saturation curves and the highlights and everything to look right. By the time the food is ready for camera, DP like me has spent an hour just lighting it, so it's sitting there oxidizing in the open air while dust and bacteria settling on it. Plus, we're putting in industrial chemicals. So yeah, I'm completely insulated to it by this point. It doesn't affect me at all. And I'm doing my best to sort of make it even more disgusting so that other people really get the point too, that, hey, when you see that, think twice. You probably don't need to be eating it.
I love it. I love it. A little bit of public service for everybody out there tonight from the Wandering Wolf.
I got to ask a question on that.
Absolutely, Spore.
So, Wandering Wolf, like what do the actors do with the food? Like when they're pretending to eat something, are they actually eating something else, or are they just pretending to eat something, or do they put that stuff in their mouth and then spit it out?
No, that's an excellent question. So sometimes what we'll do is we have two different versions of one plate. So we'll have the plate that's ready for camera. So we're getting those nice little kind of shots that go over it, that cascade, you know, treating it like a landscape. And then we'll shoot a quick shot of an actor eating from a separate plate that hasn't been touched, that's straight from an oven or from a fridge that has no chemicals on it. So we're able to get away with it because we're cutting from one dish to another. But we do often have, if we know that we want talent to take a bite of something, we have actual food that isn't tampered with ready for them to do so. But I definitely have been in situations where we need an actor to take a bite of a pizza and they will put it in their mouth and immediately spit it out as soon as the first AD says cut. So they're pretty brave people who are getting paid well to often ingest things that are not appetizing and make it look good. So yeah, it's a bit of both.
Interesting.
Indeed. All right. Well, okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on yeah, Ruckus, go for it, man.
I think the computer is making the noise. But Wandering Wolf, are they very careful about disposing that food to where, like, say, a homeless person isn't going to dig it out of the dumpster and then eat it and croak?
Certainly should be. And I can tell you that on most sets, no, because it's usually some PA, some production assistant who's tasked with cleaning everything up. So that stuff always goes into the bin. And no, there are no precautions that are taken to protect someone who's coming along and gleaning. It's definitely a problem. And I can't think of a single set where anyone has ever pointed that out. So no.
That's amazing, because I used to work in the restaurant industry and we were not allowed to take food that is like beyond a certain expiration time where we're allowed to serve it to the public. So at the end of the night, we had a lot of food we had to throw away. And we weren't even allowed by law to give it to people who needed it. You know what I mean? It's just there's a lot of red tape and laws involved with that. It's just shocking that it could just be so carelessly discarded, and who cares what happens to it from there. But that reminds me of some scenes I've seen happening in China. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Oh man. Right.
Yeah, kidding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was crazy. All right. Let's see. Well, I suppose since we're talking about like how'd that get on set? What the heck? And since we have Corey with us tonight, I'll at least briefly bring up the new footage that's come out from the Alec Baldwin shooting on the set of Rust. I don't know if any of you got to watch any of that today, but if you didn't, don't worry about it. There's just a couple of short clips, but it was interesting because that story, of course, caught our interest. And we even did a bit of a special on it with Corey, talking about it because, you know, he's been on sets. He knows a lot about how it works with the armor and how it works, the safety protocols and all that. So we took a bit of a deep dive on it when they weren't telling us a whole lot, right? So, and we knew, you know, hopefully there would be more information to come out because it's just, I don't know, how do you not be captivated by that story a little bit? Because this hasn't happened since Brandon Lee, pretty much, as far as I know. But yeah, so some badge cam footage was released by TMZ, and they showed. I think I watched 3 pieces. They showed a piece where they were talking with the young lady that was the designated armorer. She, I don't mean to judge a book by its cover. I don't like it when that happens to me, but I will just say I was a little surprised by her age and her experience, because they asked her about her experience. She didn't seem like someone that would normally be hired for an armor, but maybe that's just me. I know a lot more like military and law enforcement people than I do Hollywood people. I'm sure it's totally different scene. Maybe that's normal. And then there was another piece of footage where badge cam footage where they were talking to Baldwin and a couple of other people. It was interesting. It was interesting nonetheless. But I think Corey Drayton may have watched some of that, so I was curious to see what you thought of what you saw today that TMZ put out 3 days ago. Dreaded TMZ.
Yeah, I watched that footage shortly before we got on the call, and where to begin? Shocked and horrified. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, yeah, we did a deep kind of dive into that incident, and I sort of broke it down from the perspective of someone who's worked on Hollywood sets with firearms and their specific protocols in place because of what happened in Wilmington, Delaware, to Mr. Lee in 1993 on the set of The Crow. So ever since those protocols were put in place, nothing like this has happened until the incident on Rust that we're referring to. And so, watching that footage today, I mean, the first thing that came to mind for me, and I knew that girl had been hired and was given a crash course in the protocol of handling firearms on set, which I just think was that was mistake number one. Completely appalling. I mean, this is a union set, so there are people who only specialize in being a set armorer. So she should never have been placed in that position in the first place. And if she was going to play that role, she should have been an understudy for a number of years, putting in a number of hours, doing only the prep work for that job before she was in a position to be key of the department head that she was in, the key armor on that set. So something is incredibly wrong that she was even placed into that situation in the first place. But what I found most horrifying was her response was, and I don't want to necessarily say that she is a narcissist, but she did seem to be very concerned about how the incident was going to affect her career and how she was viewed by her colleagues and coworkers on the set. And she seemed to be very concerned that being really the first woman to do this kind of job, that she messed things up, to put it politely. And I thought that was incredibly disgusting to me because, it was her lack of experience and her negligence that led to the deaths on set. And for such a, frankly, selfish initial reaction, I just found myself incredibly chilled, to the bone, listening to her respond the way that she did. I don't want to belabor the details of what exactly happened. I would encourage everyone to go and listen to our previous episode about that in detail. But it was really just her concern for herself that I found most disturbing.
Yeah, there was also this at one point one of the cops asked her where she had received her training for that. They said, "Who's the armor?" And she said, "I am." And all right, well, and they're talking to her and like, "Where'd you receive your training from that?" And she's like, "My dad mostly." And I don't know anything about her dad. I don't want to talk down to him. Maybe he gave her extensive firearms training for all I know, and it was a bad day. Um, I but I've been around a lot of people that have had extensive firearms training for purposes of their work, and not many of them have kids that look like her. Not that says anything, doesn't indicate a whole lot, but to me, it was just a little bit like, even if her dad was tip top, firearms instructor or something like that, still, like, why did she not have, why was she not like industry trained? Why, like you said, why wasn't she shadowing someone or apprenticing with someone to because there's muscle memory involved with all that, and you would hope that she had all that stuff down because that's fundamental. But then there's procedural stuff, right? And the procedural stuff is muscle memory also, but it's OJT, right? It's on the job training. It's things that these procedures you run over and over, and they're procedures that could mean the difference in your film being a success and even getting completed, and your actors even surviving if you don't follow them. So
Yeah.
I was just really taken aback by the whole thing there.
Yeah, I kind of want to expand upon that point too, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people just don't realize or think about. About what happens on set. Every single department has that on the job tactile learning curve. Every single department, even my own department of camera department, there is a way that you build up a motion picture camera. There is a way that we call it swinging lenses, making a lens change on a camera. There's a specific procedure that gets burned into your muscle memory around who handles the lens, who takes the lens once it's handed off, how it's handed back to the camera. There's a lot of different things that you do. It's almost like a dance, and every single department has its dances and its protocols that become muscle memory. And when you're on a union set, depending on the department you're in, you can't even touch an object that belongs to another department. So if you're in camera department and you touch a light stand, you can get fined by the union because you're not a grip. And if you're a grip and you touch a lens, you can get fined by the union because you're not a first or second AC. So there's a whole matrix of relationships that have to function a certain way in order for a film set to get through its a film production on a set to get through its shooting day and actually complete the project. And a lot of people don't realize just how complicated a machine it is, and how it's a very high pressure environment, because your number one enemy on set is daylight. You're constantly chasing the sun, having to adjust to the sun, and you cannot control beyond a certain degree what the sun is doing. So everyone is moving at breakneck speed to get things done efficiently, effectively, but also safely. And so when I, kind of look at this whole situation in that context, and the chain of accountability and chain of incidences that were broken on the set that led to Baldwin even having the firearm in his hand when they were blocking, which never should have happened, because again, they were blocking the action of the scene before shooting it. And that means the actors have to hit their marks and deliver their lines. They're figuring out what the action and business of the scene is. The camera is moving in relation to that. That is a very complex dance that's going on, while the other departments are maneuvering around you, figuring out all of their end of things too. The firearm should never have been in his hands while that was going on. And I said this on our previous conversation about this, Hesher, but the weapon should never have been handled by anyone other than the armorer and the talent. And what happened that led up to the shooting was the first assistant director, who is not in that department, not in props, touched the firearm and handed it to Baldwin. So there was a breakdown in the chain, because you have an unauthorized person handling the weapon, and that person is not doing the safety protocol of walking around, showing the weapon, showing the chamber of the weapon, and showing the barrel of the weapon to everyone on set so that they can see that there's no debris in the weapon. That did not occur as far as I know. And that's standard operating procedure on a film set where firearms are involved. So the whole thing was a mess. There was no respect for the chain of accountability, and it led to death and mayhem on set, and it's just appalling.
With that many breakdowns of standard operating procedure policy, especially in safety, a lot of people are just like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, like Sunbell in the chat right now is like, this, I don't even believe that this happened. What do you think about that? Do you think there's any possibility that there is a grander conspiracy or PR shenanigan, or outright fakery, or maybe insurance fraud is more likely? Do you think there's a possibility that there could be something more nefarious going on?
It's hard to say. I do see, being in the industry and working on sets, I could see how something like this could happen. If it's almost like, if a small part of set protocol is broken and messed up, it has an exponential effect on other parts of the set. So I could see chaos arising and getting out of control. But then there's another part of me that kind of looks at Baldwin's subsequent behavior, things that he said, the way that he has conducted himself in the wake of this incident. And I could definitely see the angle that there was something going on behind the scenes. Maybe he was set up to fail somehow by someone else. So I wouldn't discount that possibility. No, absolutely not.
Right, right. But on the other hand, you are familiar with the woman that died, right? Like, there's no doubt that that woman is dead in your mind, right?
In my mind, no. I mean, I have worked with her. I pulled focus for her a number of times, and she was absolutely fantastic DP to work with. Great energy, great eye. As far as I know, she's gone.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. If there was something going on there, that just speaks to just how nasty and convoluted those kind of things can be. We don't know the answer, obviously. We do our best. We're lucky to have someone like Wandering Wolf around who can speak from experience being in work environments like that. But yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate that, Wandering Wolf. Interesting update there. That spark anybody else to want to speak up about the Baldwin situation here, Ruckus? What do you think, man? Considering what we just heard.
No, that was great analysis and breakdown, Corey. Thank you. But I'm here in New Mexico, not far from where all of this took place, and what is big news and nationwide and all this tabloid sensational stuff on TMZs and all that garbage, that's just regular local news here because it was close to here. So this stuff is just like normal. This is the news. This is the local news right now, and there's all these local people involved with it, and the local police and sheriffs and all that stuff. So this is like, to go on a grand conspiracy involves a lot of just absolute normal everyday people that I refuse to believe. But what you said, to your point, that you could see how a situation like this could happen. Yeah, I think it's just an absolute tragedy. But like, I wouldn't put it past the idea that the reason there were so many mistakes happening is that maybe there was such a low budget they couldn't afford the right quality talent because all of that money went to this ass bag celebrity star, Baldwin. You never know.
Right. Yeah, and as was pointed out in the chat there, Baldwin very anti-gun, believe it or not, everybody. If you scour his Twitter, you'll find some absolutely just some statements that are like, what? Yeah. So who knows? All right. Anyone else want to weigh in on that one? All right.
Wouldn't mind stepping in just to say a couple more things,
Yeah.
if it's all right. Yeah, I think everyone's making really great points, and I just wanted to speak to something that Brian was saying on the Discord chat. Hope you're having a good night out there, Brian. What was a live round doing on that set? Yeah, exactly right. What a lot of people don't know is that, often when these things happen, the media says that, there was a malfunction with a prop gun, or they call it a misfire, when actually they should be referring to it as a negligent discharge, because really what you've got is all of the guns that are used on film sets are real firearms. And so the cartridges that are used are actual cartridges with the bullet removed. The end of the cartridge is crimped, and usually a paper wadding is put at the end. But we use real firearms on set for a number of reasons. You want the weight to feel right. You want the verisimilitude of the weapon, the way it looks and acts and fires on camera to be right. And with all the resolution that we have in camera sensors now, I mean, a red helium 8K sensor can pick up a lot of detail. So if you're running around with a weapon that looks, that isn't authentic, that's definitely going to show up on camera. So there are a number of reasons that we use real weapons, but there should not be any live rounds on the set at all. Even the rounds that look like they're live rounds have all of the combustibles removed. So it's just odd to me that there was a live round on the set, and maybe that could have been planted by someone. I'm not saying that that wasn't the case, but certainly when you have a hapless novice, like the girl who was, working as the armorer, who didn't know what she was doing, still, even then, she should have been able to distinguish a live round from a dummy round or from a prop round. And certainly from a blank, because the blanks would not have the bullets in the cartridge. So it's all so insane, and creating enough chaos, creating enough of enough of a mess to hide something nefarious is definitely something that I think is a very valid point. So I certainly wouldn't discount that.
Yeah, that could definitely be a thing. And what an easy thing for them to cover up too. What an easy thing to hide, to obfuscate, and all that. And of course, this leaks out, and I'm guessing that it's not near as much drawing near as many clicks or as much interest as Johnny Deposition and Amanda Turd. So it's just kind of lost. And it's like, did anyone are we going to see a detailed, I have to see every little detail of Amanda and Johnny's, wild ride in the court here. But why are we going to get that kind of look into the Baldwin thing, or are we going to get that kind of courtroom for I don't know, some of the big giant events like Parkland? Maybe, I think that guy's on trial, and of course everybody's been pointing out Ghislaine. Like, man, if we all had this kind of access to Ghislaine's trial, my goodness.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Spore.
is Alec Baldwin even going to go to trial?
Good question. I mean,
he seems like his actor power makes him exempt from the judicial process, as far as I can tell.
it sure seemed that way. I mean, definitely, you get treated differently. You could tell the way the cop approached him. He's like, well, I don't need to ask your name. And he's like, the cop was like, well, can we go, I don't want to, can we go over here? Can we go somewhere and talk, and Alex like, well, we could go over there, whatever. And cop's like, well, normally I'd put someone in the back of a cruiser to separate them. So, so that we can hear someone's story before they start talking to other people that were on scene, because that's just part of an investigation, is separating everybody and getting everybody's, most immediate reaction and description of what they saw before they start talking to each other. And that can change stories sometimes. So obviously, but it's like, oh yeah, I know who you are, and it's like, yeah, we'll let you sit here and ask your buddy for a couple of smokes and a thing of water, and I don't know. It's definitely not going to get treated the same as everybody else with that kind of name, I suppose.
I'd be very surprised if Baldwin does go to trial over this. I would be quite astonished, because they're really setting it up to be a situation where it was a low budget film. It was a hapless mistake caused by a novice who didn't really understand her job. There's so many ways of misdirecting that I really do think that he's going to walk on this. I mean, it certainly doesn't mean that he's going to have the clout in the industry that he has enjoyed for a long time, but will he end up behind bars for something like this? I really doubt it, because there's so many other people lower down the chain of command who can be sacrificed to allow him to walk away, I think. So I do agree with that very much.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's somebody down the chain that will go to trial for this?
Well, it looks to me like they'll definitely focus most of their effort on the armorer. I think they'll focus on her, and then they might focus on anyone that they feel is responsible for putting her in a situation where she was ill prepared to do the job. But again, I don't think it'll be Baldwin, and I really don't see anyone doing serious time over this. I just don't.
Yeah, the most recent headline I see says criminal charges still possible in Rust shooting. That's the New York Times. They won't let me click through because they're dicks about that. But yeah, and the other here's one of the other telltale signs here that they're not going to pursue it is they're leaving it with the local authorities. They're leaving it with the New Mexico sheriff. If they were going to do something with it, it'd probably be sealed and it would be a federal case, I'm guessing. So yeah, that'll probably be. I think that's indicative of the fact that they're not going to do anything with it. They're going to leave it with the local law enforcement, and local law enforcement is going to just say, it was a terrible accident. Sorry about that. I don't know.
If only they could pin it on Putin, then that would be a different story.
There you go. Well, I think Baldwin has a number of tweets about Putin, so maybe he can parlay that. If Elon lets him have his account, I don't know. When Twitter's changing landscape, maybe now. I don't know. We'll see. Well, speaking of which, normally I would take a break right around now, but I think I'll just slam right through this sucker so that I don't. Because I'm not versed in the ways of taking an intermission on these live streams yet. I don't have a plan for that. So we'll just barge on through. Ruckus, can you make it? Do you need a smoke break?
I do, man. But I was going to suggest, does this thing play videos? Because you could premiere the Shilling for Sanity video. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's supposed to go. That should premiere in 3 minutes. So yeah, let's do that. We'll do that. We'll make that our intermission. I believe that is a 6 or 7 minute thing. I better figure out how to do that. Let's see. That would be a share. No. Oh, I know how to do it. Never mind. I got it all figured out. We got that. No problem. So everybody, if you missed the beginning of the show, we are in the midst of our spring Shilling for Sanity donation drive here at alternatecurrentradio.com. I'm your host, Hesher, and you find yourself in the boiler room tonight. We're broadcasting live at Rockfin and YouTube and Spreaker.com tonight. It's great to have everybody with us. Thanks for joining us in the chat rooms. Let's see here. It looked like we also had another tip there from Conrad again. Thank you. Wow, that's awesome. And thank you to the folks that tipped the swear jar since last week when we started the donation drive over here. And Mindspace, one of the things we're doing for the spring donation drive is we're premiering a companion video with each week's boiler room, right? So this week you have prepared for us an excerpt from the 420 kickoff show from last Wednesday. So this will technically be the third installment of Shilling for Sanity here, and the second video companion. So you took my my intro monologue from the 420 segment, which, by the way, we were partying on, and you might notice that when you watch the video here, you'll see the cocktail in the background. But at any rate, Mindspace, you made a really nice boiler room excerpt out of that, and that's going to premiere on the YouTube coming up here in a minute. And we'll all take a break while that premieres, and then we'll rejoin. So, anything you want to say about that before we throw it out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a really good piece that underscores some important points that you're making, and yeah, we've got more to talk about in relation to the the campaign here that we're going on. So I'll speak more on that once the video is done premiering.
All right, let's go ahead and see if I can't pipe us into the YouTube premiere here. This is weird. I don't even know if they'll let me do this. I'm live on YouTube, but we got a premiere on YouTube that we're going to play on the live stream. How freaking meta is that? All right, let's see what happens here. All right, it looks like it might work. Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. Alternatecurrentradio.com. That is our website. And this is the 420 Shillin' for Sanity donation stream right here. We are kicking off our spring donation cycle, and we're really looking forward to spending this April the 20th with you. Have you ever had that feeling of having something to say and wanting what you say to be something like-minded people can find on the internet? Right? I mean, that's a pretty basic fucking internet interaction, right? That's a basic 2022, 21st century man interaction, man or woman interaction, or Zimmer, him, her, blah, 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 whatever pronouns is are. You know what I mean, though? You ever had that feeling like Spore and I did 10 years ago? That feeling, that drive. And we've worked towards it nonstop, pretty much. And in the last decade, I've learned how to make that happen to some extent. You know, how to have my voice and the voice of my colleagues available, have it streamable, downloadable, ever present via podcasting. Podcasting is amazing. And it has given me opportunity to improve my public speaking skills, to learn how to set up live streams, how to work with metadata, streaming platforms, podcasting platforms, social media platforms, barf. I've learned how to design and deploy entire collectives of like-minded podcasts, how to interact with other content creators, how to do interviews, promotion to an extent, networking, audio, video recording and editing. Gosh, there's so much been involved in what we have been doing for the last decade. I've had to learn journalistic principles, advertising, marketing, learning about sponsors, sponsorships, all this other garbage, how that all works, dealing with conflict, dealing with egos, dealing with drama. There's a million other pieces of this puzzle. And I just want to put it together. You know, that's all Spore and I are trying to do. And I'm very, very lucky to have the lovely Spore in my corner, because I think this is it's a magnanimous effort. You know, I have a master's degree in information technology management and computer science. I'm really good with that kind of stuff. I know fuck all about business, about all kind of other things that I even just mentioned right there in that list that I have had to absorb, to learn, to go through crash courses on. And, you know, I learned as I go. And you guys all saw that. Those of you that have been with us for years, you see it. Those of you that just joined and are impressed with the quality of the show, you see it. That doesn't just happen. Things don't just start that way. And I did it all on Crash Course, learn as I go, right? And one of the key things that pieces of advice I can give or things I can say that helped me get to where I am is I surrounded myself with people who have similar goals. And we've learned from every mistake possible and done so with, like I said, no background in business or modern marketing. And essentially the content was the king, right? That's in my eyes, and everything else was on the job training, incidental on the job training. And here we are 8 years after the inception of Alternate Current Radio. We've hosted tens of thousands of hours of quality podcast content, maybe another couple thousand hours of mid-quality podcast content, but we won't focus on that. We've kept a publicly available 24/7 stream this entire 8 years. You know, unless I forget to turn the encoder back on or something. It's always on, and we've had over 6 million listens, and we've made fantastic alliances and collaborations in the alt and independent media spheres. But more importantly, we have made huge strides toward realizing that original goal, to have our voices and the voices of our like-minded colleagues be heard, be available, be a source of information, amusement, conversation, the amazing interviews, and this great wide variety of people from all over the world that have been featured here on Alternate Current Radio. And right now, we have a video premiere about to happen. I'm going to pipe it into the call so everybody can see it and or hear it. This is a piece that Mindspace Art made for us for this very special broadcast. So stand by.
Hey guys, Mindspace here. You can check out that initial promo video at the Alternate Current Radio YouTube channel. If you like what we're doing, please consider making a donation at alternatecurrentradio.com, where you'll find the growing catalog of our music mixtapes, videos, and analysis. We'll catch you on the next one. Mindspace out.
Be right back with you. Stand by. So elevator music-y. All right, let's see here. We're about to get started again. Stand by, you guys. We'll get back with you in a moment.
Coming up next, more thought crimes from the Social Rejects Club on The Boiler Room, here on Alternate Current Radio.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Boiler Room. I'm your host, my call sign's Hesher. Thanks for joining us tonight. It is, I guess it's still April the 28th over here. We're streaming live out of Central Texas. Thank you for joining us tonight. alternatecurrentradio.com. That's our website. Head on over there. Check it out. We are in the midst of our Shillin' for Sanity spring donation drive here. So, yeah, if you want to throw in and help make sure that Alternate Current Radio is uncancelable, that is where you want to go. I guess you have some other options today. Also, we've just opened up our Rockfin account, so you can head on over to Rockfin. You can send us a tip there. Big appreciation for everybody that has done that, because one of the things, like I said earlier in the show, that we want to do, make sure we do in that endeavor of being uncancelable, is to make sure that we are on the bleeding edge of all technologies. So, of course, that Fountain podcasting app, I haven't even listened to Boiler Room on the Fountain app yet. That is how new it is. I believe DJ Photon, shout out to Photon, is currently one of our only listeners on the Fountain app. So, yeah, that one is a blockchain podcasting 2.0 index app right there. We're very stoked to be on that one. So Apple and Google, thanks for the party. But if you guys are going to show us the door, guess what? We're already at another party. Anyways, we are so quantum. We are so meta. We're already partying in the we've bypassed the metaverse. We are now in Web 3.0 land. And you can't cancel us there. So, and same goes for Rockfin. Rockfin has got a great little wallet and tipping section there, and they have a membership area, really cool membership paradigm that they have. So we're going to have special content for our Rockfin subscribers. Of course, they'll be able to access extra stuff, and we have a new membership area opening on the website very soon. As soon as we complete the next phase or two of our business redev, that will start to come into play. And until then, we're just going to keep partying over here in the Boiler Room. And I'm going to see here. We've got, let's see, let's change the view. All right. Welcome back to the show. In the second half of the show here, we've got, we're going to be joined again by Ruckus. Ruckus, welcome back to the Boiler Room.
Hello, hello. Or howdy, howdy, howdy. That's right.
There we go. There we go. All right. And of course, Ruckus is the producer and host of the Daily Ruckus right here at Alternate Current Radio. So make sure you're signed up for that podcast. And we'll be sure to get that one on Fountain too, if it is not already. All our stuff is going to go that direction. We'll still be, don't worry. I'm not trying to scare you with my Web 3.0 stuff. We'll still be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker Podcasts. We'll be on all those. Don't worry. If we're not on those, it's by no doing of our own. That's for sure. G-Dub, what up? Media Bear. All right. Yeah, good to see everybody in the chat. Bob, what's going on? Jethro, hey. Okay. Everybody in the Discord chat, good to see you as well. And then we've got Mindspace Art rejoining us. He is the host of the Soul Purpose podcast. Mindspace, welcome back to the show. I enjoyed your podcast yesterday with the Based Lit Analyzer. Man, that was great. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for saying that. I'm really glad that you got to catch that show. And yeah, anybody out there listening, please check out that that talk that I did with Based Lit Analyzer. The lit standing for literary, right? Because he does deep dives into poetry and a lot of the formative texts in the Western literary canon. So we got to have a 2-hour discussion. You can either check it out at his channel on YouTube, which is Bayes Lit Analyzer, or you can go to the alternatecurrentradio.com and check it out under the Soul Purpose tab there. Just scroll about halfway down the page and you'll find it. It's the latest episode of Soul Purpose on Spreaker there. And I really appreciate you also, rolling that video out there that we just saw. Of course, you were the star there. I enjoyed putting it together. And, everything that is put into ACR as an operation, we're taking that and we are making this better. We are sharpening our skills. We're trying to bring the audience something that's, I would say, truly unique and spectacular. And we're trying to do this alt media thing right, you know, not do it halfway, half baked. We're trying to make it something that's going to have some pop and some shine to it, and really kind of be at that next level. And I think we're already there. We just, you know, we do ask for help and contributions to keep all of the content rolling here, you know, because we got to have resources in order to do this, but it's also a passion of the heart thing. So with, you know, with those resources, we're going to bring you something that's more than just info. Okay. It's going to have some heart and some soul in it. And that's really what I feel like I can bring to the table with the work I do and with video editing. And it's a truly something that I enjoy greatly. And of course, if listeners have been tuning in for a while, they know that, you know, I help to make like boiler room clips and things like that. But I also, you know, make my own music videos on the side that are really part of my soul's passion, something that allows me to put all my creative energy into something and make a unique product. And, you know, some projects I sink a lot of time and energy into it, and I think that it winds up creating something that's kind of special. And you know, I don't show all of the creations to everybody because some things are just, you know, personal for me. But you know, there are I have a project that I've been working on for a while here that I think is a beautiful thing, you know, something that Hesher and I have been bandying back and forth in the background. That's a little bit of extra flavor. And so, you know, if the audience chips in and we see that people are really trying to help support us, we'll release that project, you know, before the next broadcast, you know, for the boiler room, and it'll be our special treat to the audience. So, you know, help support us, guys, you know, because we're doing this as a labor of love.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Mindspace, for the amazing edit there and all the amazing stuff that you do. And everybody be sure and check out the Soul Purpose podcast. It is fantastic. And yeah, great. Hey, Frankie, good to see you too here. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have easy access. I've got a little bit easier accesses to my chats. I've got a completely different setup going on here, and I dare I say it seems to be making things a little bit easier, but that's cool. That's cool. I'm stoked about that. And we have a couple of special videos that we've been holding back in the magazine, you know, in the tube. So we got one in the chamber, a couple in the magazine, and we're ready to throw a couple of those out. And we're going to do it as a gift to all you listeners. So if you know, if we can hit that first, let's say if we can hit that first $1,000 mark in our goal here, that'll be 2 weeks. We'll put that video out. We'll stop some of our other projects and we'll make sure that video gets out before next week. And also next week we'll have another companion piece to the shilling for sanity segment, so people can plan on that. And if the donation drive goes well this week, we'll throw something extra up there for everybody and share it far and wide. So I think I need to look at it and total it up, but I think we're somewhere around $400, $500, something like that so far within a week of asking for our listeners' support. So there you go. Full transparency. That's the ballpark, and we're looking to hit that first 1,000 mark, get into the 4 digits by the end of the next boiler cycle. So next Thursday, we'll see how it's going. And if you're one of the people that have been supporting us over the years, thank you very much. There are a number of you, well, all of you all together have kept us going. And there are a number of you who have really helped us in when things were really sketchy. So I think a number of you probably know who you are, and we really appreciate that. It's a small number, it's a small family, but you know what? It's a good one. It's a good one. And they've backed us up because they see us looking, putting our money where our mouth is. Because last year when we did this, we matched everybody. We matched everybody and then some. So we have come leaps and bounds. People are noticing that in the chat rooms. It's great. It's great. So yeah, thank you to those of you that have helped us out and thrown into the swear jar. And anyone out there that's thinking about it, alternatecurrentradio.com/support. And just a piece of quick housekeeping. The store might be having an issue. We're working on the store. Let us know if you need to get into the store and you have any issues. We're working on it. We're working on it. We're putting out a lot of fires at once. Not only are we putting out fires, though, we're building things. We're busy building things. The fires are always there. Fires are always there to put out, but they're small compared to the large things that we're building here at Alternate Current Radio and in the boiler room. All right, let's see here. Back to welcoming people back. That leaves the Wandering Wolf, Mr. Drayton. Corey Drayton, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. I know it's been a crazy busy week, but we're very pleased to have you here.
Hey, thanks, Hash. It's always a crazy and busy week for me, but come Thursday nights, I'm happy to be here and happy to make it anytime I possibly can. I was watching the latest video come through and just thinking about just how amazing it is to see a fresh, young, up-and-coming editor who's so kinetic and so energetic with his sense of the cut. Yes, Mindspace, I'm talking about you. And just when you look at a piece of good art and you can really feel all the emotions, all the love, all the passion in that piece of art and in your own soul at the same time. It's a huge part of why I'm here and why I love working with you guys. And I'm just so thrilled when I can make it Thursday nights and join the gang. So thanks for having me back.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shout out to Chopper out there. Chopper's doing some remote producing for us tonight, checking the audio levels. What up, Chopper? We'll look forward to having you back in the boiler room soon. And Infidel said, good night, everybody. He's got 5 a.m. meetings tomorrow. And yeah, man, don't worry about it, Infidel. Thanks for joining us. And we always appreciate your time. So, okay, well, let's get back into it. Second part of the boiler room here. There's it's not an elephant in the room. It's, I guess it's a turd in the room. I don't know. Anybody want to talk about, it's just so weird to me. Okay. I got to say, because I tried to ignore it, and we closed last week's boiler room out. And I think today was like day 11 or something of the Depp and turd trials. And I had been just completely like, I'm ignoring that, because last week was just all about getting this boiler room, that last boiler room done, which was great, by the way. Go check it out if you missed it, alternatecurrentradio.com. But then I was so burnt on the news and everything. And I'm looking, I was like deep into like the current events in Ukraine mindset. And I don't know. I needed to unplug. I needed something less brutal to look at. So the YouTube algorithm was just up my sniz. They were so up my sniz. I mean, oh man, Indian underwear creeping up the trail. You know what I mean? It was just like Johnny Depp. I can't even flick through the recommends with all this Johnny Depp stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, as a fan of Marilyn Manson and someone that knows that Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson have a music project together, and knowing that Marilyn Manson got Me Too'd by his psychotic actress wife, to the point where he got canceled from his label right after a new album came out, and everybody in the media just crucified him right away. And I was not down with it. I was like, nah. Johnny Depp, I remember when they crucified him in the media, and he was in the midst of this Me Too stuff too. I think it was 2016. This whole thing started breaking, and I had no opinion. I had no opinion about Johnny Depp and Amanda, whatever her name is, Amanda, whatever the fuck her name is. Didn't care, just wasn't interested. But the Marilyn Manson situation, I was interested in. And then what do you know? And Marilyn, he gets canceled from tour, canceled from the label, whatever, all this stuff. And Johnny, ostensibly, canceled from Disney contracts, Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, blah, blah, blah. That must be worth $1 bajillion. That must be worth an amount of money that is a number that I cannot humanly comprehend. But anyway, so I click in, and I'm immediately like, oh, this is like the old like Maury Povich days or Jerry Springer days, Judge Wapner. I was just like, oh, this is perfect. Like it's like a train wreck, but it was exactly what my brain needed to like switch off. And mind you, this was the bridge also between when Ruckus and I did Sunday Wire, where we got deep into the whole Ukrainian thing and took some major media black pills. Ruckus and I had to look at corpses and stuff and watch people get beat to death and burned to death on Sunday. So some like cotton candy of the media just said, okay, YouTube, plug it in, plug the beer bong into my third eye and give me Johnny Depp and Amanda Turd. And I was off to the races. And then Spore got up the next day and she caught me. I was like, oh boy, she caught me in a guilty pleasure here. I'd rather be caught watching Prawn than that. But then she got sucked into it too. So both of us watched a bit of this. And I gotta say, okay, so Mindspace, I'm gonna go to you first because you and Based Lit like took it way meta. Like you guys went like down the where we would often go in the boiler room. I was proud of you guys. I loved the conversation and how it basically ended up with, is this even real? Is this like, these are actors. Is this even real? Or at the very least, I like the way that Based was like, well, why are we being presented it? You know what I mean? Like, why this? Why now? Regardless of whether, stagecraft, whatnot. So I appreciated you guys' conversation, but I wanted to throw in there that I have a bit of a normie take on this. I gotta say, I have like a manosphere sort of red pill reverend perspective on this. I agree with you guys. I think there's something creepy and weird about the way that it's being like fed to us in the algorithm, and that millions of people are seeing this, and this no-name channel I've never heard of and other ones like it, like this law and something, are just getting like millions of hits on this. Like, how does that channel get the rights to it? They must be, that's a monetized channel. They must be making butt tons off of people like me and their morbid curiosities and whatnot. But how all that works, I don't know. And why all that's happening, I don't know. And why we can't see that with trials that we should care more about, like Maxwell. Well, that's obvious, but wouldn't it be nice? But I gotta say, man, I know enough people who have dealt with situations like that, with a psychotic woman who's on Ambien and 2 bottles of wine a night or more. And like the things that he's describing and the evidence that he has, as well as some of the things that a lot of the other people that have been on the stand have said, are like, they're like verbatim stories I've heard from other people, except instead of like in the bedroom, it's in penthouse number 4 or on this island at this film festival. So I'm gonna go with it's real AF. Why it's being shoved up our snizzes, I don't agree. But the predation of a wife like that who has values like this I'll be nice, this woman, are so common, and there is a lot of like female on male spousal abuse that just never ever gets talked about. And I think that they didn't really they did it was outlined in the court case that this chick is on like massive amounts of wine and Ambien, and wine, Ambien, bad attitude, princess actor, self-entitled, narcissistic problems. I think it's real, man. I'm just gonna throw that one out there. But I loved the conversation, and I was wishing I was on it, so I'm inserting myself into it now.
Right. Well, if we get to do the follow-up episode, which I've floated, Based, if you're out there, we got to get up, for a follow-up there. And we should definitely have Hesh on for that. We could all have a great conversation. But Yeah, I think the way in which the conversation that we had went the way it did, in part because, I'm somebody where I really like to remove myself from the theater of brutality that everybody is watching all at once at any given time. I mean, I like to be aware of it, but I also like to maintain a distance. And so, when I'm entering into an analysis and having a discussion about something like that, I really do try to see it from that bird's eye perspective as much as possible. Because, of course, the events of the past 10 years, let alone the past 100, would give us indication that, we should have our guard up and be suspicious about anything that is out there in the public eye. So I just gave sort of that meta perspective basis on it, like, hey, all this stuff is theater. Now, as far as what you're saying, but I do recognize that, there's many levels to these things. And when you're talking about, how men are abused and targeted and, dragged through the court system, these kinds of things happen, female to male abuse and those kinds of things. I mean, there is also, that I think that this is something which is, it would, there are people who would like to encourage this kind of strife, of course, like gender war type of stuff, right? But not only, just man versus woman, but just, trying to actually engender this animosity in women in our societies to further displace men as having any sort of authority, having any legitimacy in our society. And basically, you can be axed at any point if there is a, spiteful woman that would like to, destroy you in some way. So, I mean, I definitely see that angle, and that is a huge issue. And there needs to be more protections against men for that reason. But of course, that's why you see things like MGTOW and stuff like that. So, it's it's convoluted. I don't want to see any more of that. I mean, this is actually a concept recently I've been hitting on in the podcast, is about how, people really need to self-reflect, because we're in a time when people really want revenge. Okay. And there's been other times in history when, even like, let's say like the French Revolution, right? It's a known thing that at that time, what was very popular, it was plays about revenge, right? So this is acting in a similar fashion, right? We got a lot of angry people. We got a broken culture. We got a civilization that's falling apart here, okay? There's a lot of energy of spite and anger in the people. The question is, what are we going to do with that? Are we going to lean in? We're going to lean out. We got options here. I'm on the side of, hey, we should be spiritual adults here, humble ourselves, recognize that your fellow brother, sister, spouse, etc., is not your true enemy. Okay. And you shouldn't be expending all your energy going into the court system, etc., trying to ruin them. People should be trying to mend their relationships, look internally, fix their own heart, and move on from there. What do you guys think about those things? I mean, I think that's an important part of this that's being lost.
Yeah, that's, yeah, like G-Dub is saying, a lot of this stuff, like, it's weird the way this whole thing evolved. It was like, the whole, it was almost like, if you go back far enough, it started with like the PUAs. There's like this pickup artist thing that was going on, where like young men started looking at the psychology of male female relationships in like a brutally pragmatic way. And then that clique of young people got a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, and then they started realizing that there was a stigma with even talking about men having rights, and pointing out some of the legislation that has gone through, some of the laws that exist, and the police practices and procedures for taking reports in domestic violence, and some of the statistics that happen when it comes to family court, divorce, stuff like that. Like, and then it just becomes, and that's important, you know. Young men need to understand those things, I think, so that, you know, that is part of their context as they go through the process of, you know, looking for a partner, if that's what they're doing, or even just not looking for one. You should still understand some of the pitfalls of all these things, because, you know, that's modern life in the West. But then, and that breeds a bit of animosity, you know. Like there's that Red Pill movie where it's like they go through all these personal stories, and um it's
Well,
it's yeah, go ahead.
Azure, like there's these movements, right? It's like the movement of the
Right.
incels and the
That's it.
MGTOW and
That's what we're getting at. The
but
movement gets all like toxified, and a place
it's
for bad vibes
right.
to, you know,
And the thing,
exist.
what is the antidote to a movement? Like, you know, because those things are going to have their own problems. It's the thing that is always lost in it, right? Is like, are you going to decide to grow up and be an individual, a
Right.
responsible, mature adult? Okay. A relationship between a man and a woman works when both of them have a sense of humility. They're going to participate together. The relationship is primary. That means that you have to make concessions, you have to meet each other halfway. Those values are not in existence right now. So, what we're getting is everybody's reacting on the basis of everybody wants to be right. That's what I see as the main issue between men and women. There's a power game that's playing out that would go away. It can go away between any man or any woman, but you have to make the decision. You have to not be a piece of scum. Like, you know, where's people being encouraged to grow up in that way? I don't see it. I mean, people have the capability, but we don't have a culture of maturity. We have a culture of childishness. We have a culture that sort of, you know, feeds on bullying and antagonisms. So, I mean, it's a bigger problem, but I just see that, you know, the solution comes down to the individual level.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there, man. Wondering, Wolf, what do you think about that? I think another way that I would process what he just said is like, um, look for like-minded individuals that treat each other with respect, whether that's, you know, lovers, partners, husbands, wives, business partners, whatever type of relationship is going to be way more valuable when you've got like-minded individuals, right, who can resonate on one another. And the exact maybe polar opposite of that is having broken, you know, choosing to be around broken people, narcissistic people, or people with ideologies, and that's when you get into like extreme ideology, like, you know, MGTOW incel, or radical feminist. You know what I mean? They're like, those are camps of response to an ideology where they focus on the absolute perceived worst of the other side, and then just be the flip side of that, rather than look for, like Mindspace is saying, you know, functional relationships, and doing an appreciative inquiry instead of a critique, you know, a critical critique of the relationships.
Of course, if you were to ask them, they would say that they are doing a critical, you know, critique of these relationships. But what they fail to really understand is that they're substituting ideology for reality itself. And it's really difficult to get them to question their own epistemology. And you know, you have such an entrenched set of ideological camps, but very few people seem to understand the difference between an ideology and a praxeology. And that's, I think that getting to a place of praxis, which is really looking at empirical data and deciding to adjust your behavior on the basis of empirical evidence, that gets you rooted back to exactly what you and Mindspace are saying about being an individual and exercising discernment and retaining a locus of control that's internal so that you can engage in the world in a way that makes sense because you're dealing with reality itself. You know, it's interesting to kind of see so much of the these ideological positions and a lot of the buzzwords from both camps being flung around the mainstream media. I mean, certainly the more ideologically minded on the left have had dominance of the discourse for a very long time because so many of the media outlets cater to their position. But then, you know, looking at some of the red pill community and seeing some of that terminology starting to enter into the mainstream, I mean, certainly I didn't imagine that an idea like MGTOW would be talked about in any sort of mainstream outlet. We're starting to see that now. And I think one of the only people who's sort of in the red pill camp who actually talks about praxeology is Rollo Tomasi. You know, that he was definitely, when he started kind of in the early 2000s and even to this day, he says, look, I'm just looking at intersexual dynamics between men and women, and I've written a manual so that you can actually discern what's going on in your actual experience and apply these principles to your behavior to get X, Y, or Z results. And I think that expanding that mindset, not to get a specific outcome, but to return to yourself as an individual engaging in the world is what's needed. And you know, I think about my own experience, you know, and certainly as I've been looking at you know, the Johnny Depp case and other similar cases, and seeing how many of the situations that are being recounted there are things that I've gone through in my life with partners. I've had a long history of dating narcissists, so you know, I'm free to admit that. But I think what's interesting kind of with me is that I never looked at it and said, oh, well, you know, clearly there's something wrong with a percentage of the population because I keep encountering this. I had to say, okay, wait a minute. What about my own history is attracting me to people like this? Do I have some codependency issues that I have to deal with? Do I have some things in my past that I have to take accountability for and heal and resolve within myself so that I can act from a place of groundedness, personal responsibility, and realism in my relationships with other human beings? And what's increasingly evident to me and kind of frightening is how few people out there, it seems, have arrived at the same conclusions, because they're all being marketed these handy one-size-fits-all ideological positions that they can then adopt and use to absolve themselves of any personal responsibility. And then you get two people who have that mindset and they come in together in a relationship, you get an absolute disaster that ensues.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think that is something to some extent that almost everybody can probably relate to, if not in their own personal experience. They know someone who's gone through similar stuff. I don't know. A turd on the bed, though. My goodness, how scandalous that is! Like, what happened, man? So Baldwin's not going to have to go to court at all for like shooting someone dead. But I have to see a photo from Johnny Depp's phone about a piece of fecal matter that his wife left on his spot on the bed. I mean, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. We've got a network of a blackmailing network of nasty people that could be totally exposed if we were to have a Epstein trial or a Maxwell trial the same way. But no, I get to know what's on Johnny Depp's phone, and that is going to be ingrained in my head forever. You know, it's part of 2022, Ruckus. So there you go. I'm guessing you haven't had to watch any of this yet, but yeah.
You did it to yourself, dude. I don't have to endure that crap. That, well, apparently literally crap, right? If it was just one, that's fine. But if it's two craps, I'll tell you what, that's exactly how many I give about this whole situation, bro. Holy moly. When you said, like, you just came back from the break and we're like, yeah, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. I'm like, man, I better hurry up and come up with an excuse to duck on out of here, bro. But seriously, I have no idea what's going on. I'm not paying attention. I guess without knowing anything, I mean, literally, I've got myself so I don't even like notice the headlines. I guess the only thing I know is there's some lovers quarrel, but why it went into court or what's going on, I have no idea. I'm absolutely shocked and disgusted to learn about turd on somebody's bed.
She cut his fucking finger off, dude. I'll tell you in a couple sentences what this is about. So they got for anyone that's like Ruckus, congratulations on keeping your head down. I'm sorry that I know this and I'm putting this on you all, but what happened was they got a divorce, and he settled. She got like millions of dollars, and that was supposed to be that, right? And they had a terrible relationship, horrible, and she then the Jeff Bezos of Washington Post fame lets her put a promotes her op-ed, and she writes an op-ed about how she was the victim of an abusive relationship, and all but points the finger at Johnny Depp. Doesn't say his name, but she's been married to him this whole time. It's been in the press already. They already got divorced. There's already been rumors of it, and then she confirmed it on social media that she wrote the article about him, and he then lost his Disney contract worth tens of millions of dollars, and his reputation was run through the mud. He was Me Too'd, and he is suing her now in a defamation suit for $50 million, and he's got all these like pieces of evidence that he recorded on his phone, because when she would attack him, he would turn the record on his phone, because she would say things like, nobody will believe you, you old pussy, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to believe you if you say that I did this. I'll just tell them that you hit me, stuff like that. Those aren't quotes, but like that's the general like attitude that this woman has. And she's physically throwing pots and pans at him and bottles of like vodka and shit, one of which smashed on his hand and like cut the tip of his finger all the way down to the bone. I mean, smashing doors into his face, shitting on his bed. Like that's the level of stuff that he captured. And unfortunately, I watched enough of it to find it compelling and most likely the legitimate evidence, although just delivered in the most bizarre live streaming YouTube sort of thing I could ever imagine. So that's the overhead.
Ruckus, could you have imagined that Hesher was into this much? He really. You took notes, didn't you, Hesh?
Oh, I didn't have to. Mind like a trap when it comes to someone crapping on your bed, dude. I'm not gonna forget that.
I'll say this, Mindspace, I was watching you listening to what Hesher said, and I could see the little gears churning in your little brain. So I can't wait to see the video that you make for that clip right there, man. But thank you for bringing us up to speed, Hesher. Brilliant.
My apologies. Yeah, you'll need the like swirling calculus like overlay.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have you on the bulletin with all the lines and dots connected.
Yes. All right. Okay, let's get away from that one. Let's do anything else. Wandering Wolf, you want to throw at that one or?
Yeah, I just a couple of things that popped into my head is there's an old film, Kramer versus Kramer, if anyone remembers that, and it's kind of interesting to see something like this play out and saying, okay, is this kind of, are we taking the genre of film that is something like Kramer versus Kramer and just playing it out in the real world, more or less, and in mainstream media? Is that kind of is that going to be a new trend? Are we going to see an entire sort of genre or run of these incidences that become captured by a mainstream narrative to defang a certain position about domestic violence and what actually happens behind closed doors? I mean, it'll be very interesting to see that play out. I'm certainly not naive enough to think that, oh, well, the silver lining of this will be that it'll open up a dialogue about what happens when a woman is the perpetrator. No, I think they're going to do everything possible to spin it away from that, which is why they're opening up room in the discourse for some of these ideas to percolate into mainstream consciousness so that they can spin, control, lock down, and capture the way these things are talked about. And that's something that will be interesting to watch play out over the next few months. We'll see where it goes.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's one of the most logical reasons I've heard so far as to why we would be being shown this to this extent in this level of detail, because I truly believe that the story and the evidence is real. It's more like, why do I have this sort of access to it? Why and you know, there to mind space and based Litz theory, there is also like you can't count that out. I salute them for taking it that far, because you can't count that out. It's still possible. There is so much money to be made in a devious psychological operation like Wandering Wolf just laid out right there. That's totally in the realms of possibility. We've seen similar things. This is the level of evil that culture creators will
Well, actually,
can go to.
just to comment on that, it's like I guess part of maybe the reason why, I mean, they can put it out there, but why is it so popular? I mean, I think that part of that is because there are so many relationship issues in society, and so people are kind of mapping on their own trauma and past experiences to this trial, and they want to watch it because it sparks something in them, and this awareness that there's something deeply flawed with a lot of relationships now. So whether it's contrived, whether the thing is real, in a way it kind of still operates the same, and the popularity of it shows that there's something deep within people that from my perspective vantage point, people should be working to correct in themselves, to not become like a dysfunctional codependent relationship. But this stuff is we have a culture of codependence. We have a culture of not being able to stand on your own, be an adult that look, two real mature adults, they can work out their issues without the court system. I'm just saying. Now, people need it maybe for certain reasons, but that's just how I see it.
Well, yeah, you would hope. I've also known a lot of people who have been able to resolve those things without court. People that still are able to maintain some logic and a sense of fairness and some love in their hearts. They're out there, but I mean, in this case, that winch ruined his reputation and literally pulled more than $50 million out of his pocket. So go to court. Yeah, sure. Why not? Ruckus, you were going to jump in there.
Yeah, I have one more observation. It's kind of a running theme I've been noticing is that the mainstream general public world has gotten a lot more less family friendly, shall we say? Obscene, ridiculous. I mean, like when the mainstream story people can find out about and are talking about, or like Snickers removing the dick vein. I mean, come on. And now here you're saying people are subjugated to all of this intense, ludicrous, over the top drama, poop on a bed.
Yeah,
Who knows
revenge turds.
what bizarre crap they've probably exposed in this stuff. We saw what happened recently with the slap heard around the world, where it's like, hey, it's totally cool now. We're just watching live TV, and now it's like, mommy, what did Will Smith just say? What does that mean? Keep somebody's mouth out of somebody's effing what? Like, come on.
Mommy, what's a pimp slap?
I know, this is ridiculous. So I think the whole world is just spiraling out of control into this general degeneracy. That's really kind of sad to watch. But
Here. I'm in agreement with you.
It's to be expected when there's no alternative, there's no foundation, I mean, since history, societies, governments, everything was always based upon some sort of moral, ethical guideline, whether or not it was based out of religion, but most of the time it really was. And, a lot of the more successful ones are rooted in some sort of fundamental belief of right or wrong. And that's where I think a lot of things have steered down the path of whatever the F this is that we're in now. Is there is not that cohesive foundation, an accepted common ground of everybody understanding and knowing what's right and what's wrong. Everybody has this completely separate idea of that, but the only public message and forum, as it were, that's out there is what's pumped through the mainstream narrative. So that's the zeitgeist that everyone is. It's the strings to them being played as puppets. all around us. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it's the cultural relativism, and that combines with just the normalization of degeneracy and bad taste, and the sort of narcissistic protocol of one-upmanship. Whatever your pain is, someone else out there, they have to outdo your pain, and someone else to outdo their pain, and it just becomes this race to the bottom. Is really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's apparent too. I mean, look at the main source of propaganda that we have right now, cultural propaganda, I would argue, aside from the general feedback loop of social media, is streaming services, Netflix. The way in which stories are written now are mind-boggling. I mean, you just go back and spend a week watching movies from Y2K to 2005. Look at the cultural zeitgeist that you will see in those films, and then spend 3 days watching stuff that was made for Netflix in the last 2 years from similar genres. You will be shocked. You will be shocked. Maybe I'm not even sure which era I would tell you to start with, but I think it would be an interesting piece of media research to do, though, because Spore and I do that. We watch a movie from 2006 last night. I don't even remember what it was, but I do. It was a Todd Phillips movie. It was Road Trip, and I started thinking, it's like, wow, okay, you look at some of the themes in that era, or like some of the giant movies too. You can just look at big mainstream ones like that, or American Pie, whatever, and then just look at it now, and this is amazing. Like, the kind of cultural degeneracy they were showing back then was still pretty, like, not family friendly. Don't get me wrong, but you compare the what would I call that, Corey? The vignette, or the time and the context for which the script and the actions all playing out in, like, it's a completely different, like, set of values that are being shown, especially when you add in the modernity, of the new age. I mean, does that make sense? I don't know. I'm kind of stumbling with it, but it's really interesting to me to watch those two eras. And Netflix, we're all getting it. They have Netflix shows designed for every fucking country. Every fucking country has its own version of what I'm talking about. Just this constant drip into the third eye of, like, insane degeneracy. So, what you guys are talking about with, like, it's just to come full circle. I feel like the Johnny Depp thing, it's like you said, there's just this, it brings it into the conversation because it's become so loud in the outer conversation that it needs to come into the mainstream conversation, but it's in its own little contained fucking thing. And here we all are talking about it, spending time on it, and thinking, okay, well, maybe there's hope for balancing this out, for cooler heads. But in the end, it's like, what we're going to walk away with is, especially for young people, that this year they've learned it's cool to do revenge poop on your husband's bed. You get away with millions of dollars for lying about it. It's okay to pimp slap someone if you have an emotional response to something, and then all the Netflix junk on top of that. It's okay to do fentanyl and Xanax and drink alcohol and do stupid shit at night, because you're on Ambien and you had 2 bottles of wine. Like, these things are all, like, part of the cultural context that they want to push on us now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I've often had a similar thought, and this is one of the big conflicts that I have working in the industry, is just that I see the scripts, and I see a lot of the projects that I'm pitched, and I don't want anything to do with them, because of the lack of artistry, and just for the obvious kind of lowbrow. It's chasing dopamine. When you think about, okay, you have content made that's supposed to be palatable across international divides, across certain language barriers and cultural barriers. But really, the kind of unifier, the nation that really this content is being made for, is the nation of dopamine fixation and dopamine addiction. I mean, that's really what it is. Everyone is trying to chase the next thing that is going to hook the audience that will binge watch 10 episodes of whatever their ridiculous show is. And what I find that even in my own work, I'm always having executive producers and people say, oh yeah, make sure you watch this series because we're going for that look and that energy, right? So I end up watching things like Bad Vegan or the Warhol Diaries. And it's like, okay, I get what they're going for. But when I think about series like that in particular, how there's really no depth, they're not really going into process people's backgrounds, the psychological underpinnings of the decisions that people are making, and they're just staying on the drama of people's sex lives or whatever is shocking, whatever pulls people back into the dopamine fixation of the moment. And I think that a lot of it is really just content creators, directors, and producers trying to have the next thing that will capture the biggest audience. They're constantly trying to capture audiences and capture audiences away from the competing intellectual property. And that's a lot of what's driving this. And a minute ago, Hesher, you were trying to kind of find a term to sort of describe the this pastiche. The two terms that we use in the industry to kind of talk about this. One is mise en scène, which is a French term that kind of refers to everything that you see within the frame, everything that you hear. And the other would be verisimilitude. And verisimilitude is basically just we are trying to create a sense of reality and familiarity with what we're doing in the frame. And so I think when you add that to the industry's obsession with dopamine fixation, then the verisimilitude that we're actually creating is this degeneracy, is this we have to shock you to stay interested in our program. So the things that you are seeing on the screen become more real to you than life itself. And you almost have to live in a way where, kind of like Mindspace, you were saying earlier, how people will map their own experiences onto the things that they encounter in media. Well, it just becomes this cyclical feedback mechanism from hell, where the verisimilitude is, hey, let's show you something that's completely horrifying because we know someone watching this thing did something just as horrifying. And then when the dopamine hit of that wears off, we have to one-up it to keep you watching our program. It's really profoundly sick.
Well,
Yeah.
the way you were talking about that is the same way an addiction forms. And so, you're not aware that you're addicted maybe until you're off of the drug, right? So, we have a culture of addiction as well. We have a society of the spectacle that is addicted to this brutalization theater of insanity and, degeneracy, decay, whatever. And it's always just crazier things all the time. And really, I mean, what is it is emblematic of what is within people within their shadow self. The shadow of society is very dark. So, these things that we're seeing bubbling up to the surface, that's only the beginning. I mean, where does this go really? I mean, all we need to do is look at a coliseum to understand where the human mind goes. Okay, like that's really where people are at. I think it will go down to that level. It's just and in a way that already exists. I mean, there are platforms which are dedicated to just showing violence basically. So the more of this stuff that bubbles up into the mainstream society, it's shocking people. It's shock when shocked people are numb and controllable and they will act unconsciously. So I mean, hey, you all of those neos out there, start unplugging yourselves now. Start taking those tubes out now because it gonna hurt. It gonna hurt when you're out the other side, my friends. Because you'll wake up and you'll realize the nightmare that a lot of people are in. So don't be the one who unconsciously wakes up before it's too late, or you catch yourself in a situation, participating or being on the receiving end of some of the violence which has been pushed by the culture.
Yeah, it's getting nasty out there in the cities, man. I keep seeing all these robberies and smash and grabs and I don't know, A lot of people want to have a suicide by cop. It seems lately. Wandering Wolf. I keep seeing this.
Yeah, you know, there's one last point I wanted to make just about the media thing that's somewhat related is I keep thinking about how there's something in the human mechanism that responds to this. And, you know, I think Pandora's box really is us accidentally tapping into the dopamine fixation and people's sort of the contagion, which I think also speaks to the criminality that you're bringing up in cities. People see things being done and it becomes normalized. So there's some mechanism in the human organism that's responding to that. And this sort of this tendency to pander to the degenerate sensibilities that are always present in every culture. I mean, that goes back a long way. I mean, if you read Shakespeare, for instance, the right way, there's a ton of body humor, rape jokes, all kinds of things written into Shakespeare to keep the working classes interested, to keep them in the theater. I mean, there's a line in Twelfth Night, "We ripe and ripe, and thereby hangs a tale." I mean, that is a very, you know, that's a very present sex joke for anyone in the Elizabethan working classes at that time would be, you know, uproariously laughing at something like that. So there is something in the human organism that sees these things and wants to kind of take part. And where it seems to spill out into reality is, I think, you know, we didn't really, for the longest time, we didn't have this window into other cities and other places. So this normalization that we're seeing of criminality and of the worst aspects of human behavior, I think a lot of it is just aided and abetted by the fact that we see so much of it happening anywhere that it just becomes normal, right? And so people feel like, oh, well, that's just the way things are now. So I can now adjust my empirical reality or my behavior to fit this apparent empirical reality that I'm seeing through social media in particular, which is going to always give us more of the worst, I think, than anything that we might have seen on sanctioned media. But I think things are starting to cross over. You know, and I when I go out now, you know, I don't venture out too much into the city because I see so much of the homelessness and desperation that's going on in the streets. And you know, I'm always remarking about how people walk by almost as if it's not happening. It's become normalized. It's become expected. How far does it have to go? How many things do we have to become used to? Is the question that I'm always asking myself, to speak more to your point.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, I remember when I was young, I would recognize a lot of the homeless people I would see. I mean, I didn't live in San Francisco, but I would go there a lot for concerts and shit. And, you know, I would see the same dude sometimes. Same with Berkeley, you know, I'd go to like Telegraph Avenue in Berkeley, whatever, to go record shopping or whatever. Um, and it wasn't like it is now. You know, now it's like you can't distinguish a person out of there for the most part. It's like it's this giant uh camp of people, you know, this giant like eyesore is this giant place of, you know, all things sketchy. And it's like, how do you identify with a single person or empathize with a single person in such a large group, you know? And I don't know. I mean, I guess proximity theory, I suppose. Like if you're of the heart and mind to be like, you know, I need to think about this person. But I guess my point is, I remember when there was a time where it was like the camps weren't like that, and you could actually see someone you would recognize, or someone you would even feel okay talking to, or maybe has talked to you, or you know, someone that you've talked to more than once. Maybe you know why they're out there. You know, I remember I used to talk to some bums and homeless people. To be like, yeah, I'm just fucking drunk, man. I just like getting fucked up, and I can't maintain my relationships. Like I've had people tell me that. Be like, cool. Well, here's $1, dude. Good luck. You know, try to take care of yourself, man. But now it's fucking scary, you know. There's just parts of our cities that are like, what the fuck? I can't even walk through here. It's something we've covered before. They have apps now that show you worst concentration of fecal matter are in a city, so you don't actually walk down the wrong street.
Mhm.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, there's all this neglect. I mean, I think of it from the perspective where there's been so much neglect up to this point, that we see all these things manifesting, getting worse, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a reflection of the mainstay, the majority. We haven't really taken full responsibility of ourselves, the society we're living in, and we've given it away to people who are engineering for a bad purpose. So there's a lot of brokenness within people individually, within families, and what's healing that. What's the force of healing that's out there. I don't know that people have much if they're resorting to drugs and violence. And I mean, even on the street, at least you'll be around people that maybe you feel like are like that we're all in this together, and that we've fallen into a bad state. So I mean, people are going to congregate based upon, I guess, where they feel like they will find kinship. And I mean, I'm not saying that anybody has to give away all of their money to the homeless or anything like that, but more attention. It's like, what are we paying attention to? I guess that's sort of just a question I'm throwing out there. Maybe one good for I think we've hit on some of it, society, the spectacle, wasting our time with, I don't know. I mean, I harp a lot on just careerism, people focusing on materialism. Like, we know this, but if the attention was being paid towards the health of our society, we would be getting a different result, wouldn't we?
Yeah, you would think so, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a mess. I
Just send the money to Ukraine, damn it. Just launch the nukes. Just fuck it. No.
Fuck it, man. Here we go. That's great logic. Let's just de-arm all of the law-abiding American citizens. We'll hold gun manufacturers liable for only mass shootings. We won't worry about the tens of thousands of inner city shootings where most of the numbers come. Because honestly, if you remove the mass shootings from the yearly statistics, it's like a half of a percentage point or less. And then if you remove the suicides, it's this giant thing. And then if you remove the negligent discharges that led to a death, it's an even smaller percentage of whatever that whole number is. And then boom, it's all like the weekend in Chicago and the weekend in Houston, all those compiled. Yet the Homeland Security has all these new definitions about who you should be the most worried about. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You you watch some of the police action channels or active
Right.
self-protection, and it's just like you're seeing a completely different reality than the one that they're trying to feed you on the news.
Which demonstrates the contrived nature of this, and that this is a situation that they want to be in the society, whatever you want to say, the establishment, the deep state, etc. Like they want it to be a feeling of danger out there for just the average person, so that you don't feel safe in your society, because safe people who feel like they do have some safety, that they those people can actually build things, cooperate, maintain a community. But for, I guess, what is it, Chomsky, before he went off the vaccine deep end, maybe I should have censored myself there. I know we're on YouTube, but
Right.
he said something to the effect, that history was a series of highly elevated civilizations being basically destroyed and overrun by barbarian marauders. Okay, so this is, hey, we might be in a similar situation here, folks.
Yep. It may just be our time, right?
For whom the bell tolls, right? Like the bell tolls for thee,
Okay.
MFers, you know.
So that's actually a good point. Let me ask Wandering Wolf and then Ruckus. Wandering Wolf, have we been given the media environment that we deserve? Are we just at that point in degeneracy, or is this a war upon us that we are just losing and didn't realize was here until it was too late? Culturally, media environment, culturally, relationships. I guess you could kind of spread that question across all the topics tonight.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. I ask myself this all the time. Being in the industry that is a big part of the problem, and once upon a time being young and stupid and naive enough to think that I could somehow change it from within by simply having good ideas and making great art, and then finding out, of course, that no, that's not really the case. All I can do is try to implant enough ideas into people's minds that they start to question their own biases and question their own epistemology, and then maybe break down the ideological structures and edifices that they live inside of. And hey, if I can do that, great. I'm happy. You can put that on my headstone, and I'll be satisfied with that. But to the question, have we been given the media environment that we deserve? Yeah, I think so. I think so, because people continue to pay for these things. People do continue to consume these things. And I think in some quarters that's starting to shift. I mean, certainly in some online communities, it kind of started with the gamers, and then the kind of the greater geek and nerd community started to look at some of the storytelling, lack thereof, that was going on in major franchise, and saying, no, without what is it that Doomcock always says, without respect we reject. Okay, so that's a mindset that's starting to become more and more prevalent in certain sectors of the internet, and I do hope that grows, and so then we can kind of take back some ground that we've lost and say, hey, you know what, we actually want to pay for quality content, things that are a little bit more I don't know, minded and wholesome and thoughtful. So I think we can turn things around. It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't take it certainly took more than a generation for things to get fucked, and I think it'll take at least that long, if not twice as much, for things to get unfucked. But I don't think it's impossible, and that's part of what keeps me in the game. And I think that the thing is, whatever becomes perceived as inevitable becomes normalized. And I think that's the thing that more and more people have to come to understand. If you are exposed to a myriad of images of doom and chaos and degeneracy, then it's easy to tell yourself, oh, the problem is so big, so all-consuming, so overwhelming, I can't possibly do anything about it. I think unseating that mindset is the place to start. If you show people, hey, you know what, you're being exposed to an overabundance of this stuff, kill your television, kill your smartphone, step away, get in the real world, engage in meat space with actual human beings, and you will find that these ideological divides that everyone is assuming are deeply entrenched and rampant and inevitable are actually not the case. It's not really like that in the real world. And if you get that kind of exposure, that is how you're able to motivate yourself, I think, to start to turn things around. So really, really unplug. Now more than ever is the time to do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Develop some basic skills. For the love of God, develop some basic communication skills, people. Like, it's so bad out there. Like, I feel like I'm walking around and just like, what the hell are you people all doing? Everybody's in their own bubble. Their bubbles are colliding, but it's all for their own self-aggrandized game, and nobody really knows what they want. They can't express what they want. They don't know how they feel. It's just like, good God, people, we are a mess in this society. Let's be honest about this, and Corey is saying here some very critical things. We have to recognize that we have, what did Corey say earlier? He talked about locus of control. I mean, people need to begin recognizing, you have agency here. You have agency, okay? But it's not like my thoughts are creating my reality. I'm gonna project it, and I'm gonna, it's gonna build it all out there. No, that's that half-baked nonsense version of the whole thing. But you have a thought. Hey, maybe I can do this. Here's some actionable steps, and it's just simple, basic things that get us closer to reconnecting. It's like we're so far in this bizarre direction that it's like we have to think our way back to just normalcy, which is a really kind of pathetic index of where we all are, I guess. But if you can't laugh while you're doing it, then what the hell is the point? And that's what we do here on the Boiler Room.
Yeah, exactly. Well, regardless of what you may think of Terrence McKenna, one thing that he always said that resonated with me was, and I don't know that I take it in the exact same context as he may have been using it anymore, but when things seem insane, try to walk it back, try to recapitulate yourself to the last place you remember things being sane, and try to figure out what went wrong from there. Go from there. Over to Ruckus, though. Ruckus, are we given the media environment that we deserve, or has this just been a total war against us and a total culture war? And what do you think, man? I liked what Wandering Wolf had to say there about the potential way out. That's kind of what we're doing here, I think.
I think you're talking about the general we, right? Not like us on this call.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, actually, let's include us on this call, because I think we too get the media that we deserve, and that's us. It's the people like us. It's the friends and the other content creators in our extended network of what we do here. And I think we work hard for that as creators and as listeners and participants in that, and we get what we deserve. And it's because we work hard for it. And I think that the rest of the world gets the media that they deserve, that bullshit, fake propaganda, brainwashing cheerleaders for big CEOs and billionaires and politicians and governments and whatnots, right? They get what they deserve because they're lazy. They put zero effort into searching the news, learning anything about the world around them, what the actual issue is. They're fed one side like slop on a silver platter nonstop, and they just eat it. The beer bong to the third eye, as you describe all the time, Hasher. And they're lazy about the tools that have been given to them that could be wonderful and great. And I'm guilty of this. Mindspace, you were saying a lot of stuff earlier, but you speak like a man who doesn't use Facebook. Am I right? I'm pretty sure I'm right. So
I was just correct.
I know. I was just on Facebook earlier today, and I know better. And I went in there, and I was trying to get in there and do what I needed to do and hit it and quit it. But, next thing I knew, I'm like, 2 hours gone. Where the F did my 2 hours go? It's gone forever. And it's just because of the deviousness of the addictiveness of the way that platform works and everything, right? But the thing is, you get sucked in and distracted with all of these different things that the algorithm throws at you, right? But if you just take a little bit of time to teach that algorithm what you're actually interested in and what you don't mind spending. If I was on there and 2 hours later, I was like, man, I feel better because I learned so much in my 2 hours. I could teach my Facebook to feed me that type of stuff, right? But I haven't taken that time yet. You hear these people who are bitching and moaning and absolutely like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Elon Musk is buying Twitter. What do we do? Free speech? No. Here's the thing, folks.
Meltdown.
If there's anything that anybody says to you on Twitter in particular, or even on Facebook, there's this little secret weapon, this tool that's in there. It's called block. It's literally one button.
Is that on the blockchain?
It takes like a millisecond to 10 seconds max, depending on your level of intelligence. You push a button, and now you never have to hear anything you want from that. This is why I don't have to see or hear anything from MSNBC or CNN on my Twitter feed. They're blocked. So, you just got to take a little effort. You're like, wow, Ruckus, I don't have, that takes time to do that. Oh, yeah, but you just wasted 2 hours. I'm talking to myself here now. on your social media. So yeah, yes, people, we all get the media that we deserve. And like I say, people are lazy and they get what they pay for, which is why we're moving towards the strategy that we're moving towards. So, put some effort into your media and maybe even pay a little bit, and you'll get what you deserve too, which is super awesome shit.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we are going to. They didn't have it. It's one of those cases. I think a lot of people have dealt with this. It's one of those cases where you want to see something in an arena that's important to you. For us, it was podcasting and conversating, long form, nuanced conversation. And we tried to find it everywhere. We find a lot of things that we like, a lot of things we didn't like, aspects of things that we didn't like that we liked. You know what I mean? And you find little nuggets here and there, but overall, it was like, we're gonna have to do it ourselves. Let's just build it. Let's just start doing it. Let's learn what it takes to make that happen. And here we are. Here we are in April of 2022 after some of the craziest shit the modern man and woman has ever seen. It was how old am I? I don't know. I'm 40 something. I'm in my later 40s. And when I was in high school, I didn't know what an internet was. I had no fucking idea what the internet was. If I was out, my parents would not hear from me until I came home. Can you imagine that, young folks, young Zoomers? That's who Wandering Wolf was talking to earlier. Those of you that are going to lead us out of this, you Zoomers, just imagine that. I am old but not ancient. And when I was in high school, there was no fucking way to get a hold of me until I came home. That's just how it was. Can you imagine that? There was nothing that told me how to get from point A to point B. We figured that stuff all out on our own. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? No Siri, no Google Map. I took a computer ROP class when I was a senior in high school because two reasons. I knew computers were going to be a thing, and I knew that you were going to be better at them if you knew how to type. So to me, I took computer ROP because I wanted to learn how to type. I thought that would be cool, learn how to type fast. How could you go wrong with that skill, right? That's very transferable. No idea it was going to turn into this whole thing. Massive paradigm shift. Within 3 years from that point, I was building a computer with one of our listeners out there, Shredder, and putting it online and having a 56K baud connection to the internet. That's not that long ago. And then smartphones came around. Apple iPhone came around in like 2005 or something like that. And everything changed. The complete paradigm changed. And it took them about 4 to 8 years to perfect the cybernetic feedback loop that is Facebook, that is algorithms, basically. The algorithms that run all these things. Took them 5 or 6 years to get that into the mix. And then that was a complete paradigm shift. And all these things brought us new opportunities and new dangers. But anyways, that's kind of a long lead in to just get me to the point where I'm saying, here we are in 2022. We've been given a very questionable pandemic. We tracked that for years before it happened, while it happened, all recorded on podcast. Then the wars in the Middle East, we tracked all that. The playing out and destruction of the whole PNAC project, covered that. We learned about how the media fucks us and lies the whole time through all these things. And now we have a what's potentially turning into a very much larger war in Europe now that could turn real ugly. I saw columns of tanks in Romania today going toward Ukraine. Romania is a NATO country. That's not a good look. But anyways, it's so strange to me that we can look back at how things have escalated, insert that escalated quickly, meme right here. because all this crazy crap has happened. And like Ruckus keeps saying, like, when are the aliens getting here? And the media has been in control of the narrative this whole time. And shout out to Mark Anderson, who should be joining us for a conversation soon. We need to take control of the narrative, because the narrative is what's led us down this shitty path, this shitty, slippery shit rope that we've been hanging on to. So that's why we made our own media. And that's why this media needs to be supported, and it needs to be unfuckwithable. It needs to be uncancelable. And we're going to bring that to you folks if we can. And we do need your support. And we've gotten that from a few people here tonight. Thank you, Jolene. Jolene kicked into the swear jar here. And let's see. I have a clip that this one goes out to all the Amber Heards of the world here. I'll play this clip before we round the show out. Could do this all night with you guys. It's been fun. And if you just joined us, we're doing our premiere on Rockfin tonight. So thanks for checking us out over there. If you listen to this on a podcast, make sure to go to Rockfin and follow us and check out the videos and stuff. All right, here we go.
The reason that women live longer, Mark, let me tell you, it is because we are stronger and we are happier at the end of the day than most men. And that is factual, and you know it.
When men are married to women who scream like you, they just want to die sooner.
All right, there you go. There you go. Ruckus, over to you, man. I think we should probably round the show out here. I had a couple more things I was gonna hit tonight, but we've been on air for a while. Let's call it a show, man. Thanks for being here tonight. And the tech setup went really well, dude. You look and sound spicy on the Rockfin and the YouTubes and on the StreamYard tonight. So very good, man. Great success.
Thanks, man. I didn't really make myself all pretty for tonight. I thought I was going to be off air, so apologies. But no, thanks for having me. This was a blast, adding this new learning curve to this progression forward in this awesome journey that we're taking all together to the moon, baby. In that regard, of course, it's just one of the many things in my busy life that is preventing me from getting back full swing to the whole Monday through Friday Daily Ruckus thing. But luckily, I've been getting a lot of feedback from the listeners, and y'all don't seem to mind, so I do appreciate that. In that regard, what I have been able to do, I have a special announcement you may have noticed, or maybe you missed it, because here's what's going on. I'm trying something new with the Daily Ruckus. I'm spicing it up. So I've been now making these special enhanced versions of each of my episodes. The name of what I'm going to call this enhanced version might change. We'll see. But what we're doing is the enhanced version of the Daily Ruckus will only be available for you to listen live during the premiere when it airs on the live stream on Alternate Current Radio through the Spreaker stream. But after that, that's pretty much it. Unless they re-air it again on the live stream at random times. Or you can go to the actual website, alternatecurrentradio.com, and you'll find a link on the show page for that episode that will take you to another special area where you can actually listen right there, only on the website, the enhanced special exclusive version of my show. Which you won't find on Spreaker. You won't find it on SoundCloud or on Google or Apple Podcasts or any of that. It's only going to be available exclusively on the website. How slick is that? So, but if you're not down for all of that, or just in case it accidentally gets locked behind a paywall or something down the road in the future, who knows, then you can always catch it live when it's aired. So don't forget to join us and tune in when it's available. And I'll get the actual air date and time nailed down here very soon, as soon as we're done with the final tweaks with the website and stuff. So I may or may not have a new episode tomorrow, but definitely a bunch of new ones next week, because I got this new little process going that's helping me out and get it done. So I'm excited for the future, and I appreciate all of my loyal listeners and all of the loyal listeners and supporters of the network. Don't forget to like and share all of the stuff that we're tossing out there on the social media. Might as well make it work for us, right? Rather than just waste our time out there. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hesher. Thank you, MySpace. Man, I love the work you're doing for the network, bro. You're an inspiration. And dude, you're awesome. Same with you, Corey, Wandering Wolf. All of the helpful stuff you've been doing in the background, from what I understand, is just enormous. So a huge shout out to you as well. And a shout out to all the folks in the chat rooms tonight. That was awesome. This was cool. Chatting with
chat rooms have
everybody and
been
responding.
popping.
It's coming
Yeah.
from everywhere. This is exciting. This is great. So God bless each and every one of you, and may God save this republic.
That is Ruckus of the Daily Ruckus, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight, Ruckus, in this historic boiler room here that we have run on YouTube and on Rockfin. We're very, very stoked to be there with you folks. Everybody in the chat rooms, thanks for joining us. Those of you that chipped into the swear jar tonight, completely freaking awesome. I'm going to hand it over to Mindspace next. Mindspace, over to you for any final thoughts on tonight's show, or any saved rounds for you on this episode of the Boiler Room.
Right. Well, this has been a great show. Really glad that we got to put it out on some extra platforms tonight, and that we can sort of, I guess, make the network more extroverted, because, you know, there's people out there who definitely want to hear us talk, and we've been getting so much praise on the chats tonight that you know, it's really great to hear from the listeners that they appreciate what we're doing here, you know. So yeah, there's always more to come. We have so much that's, you know, in store and that we're working on in the background. So any support that can be offered by the listeners, we really appreciate that. And, you know, we're always going to give it 110% here. That's the reason why we are even here right now, each of us on talking to you, bringing videos, bringing everything. Like, there have been so many times, you know, where it's been difficult, you know, but we struggle forward because what we're doing is more important than each of us individually. And you know, it's having that kind of dedication is what it takes to, you know, for all of us to work together in this operation that we have. So, you know, again, it's a labor of love, and, you know, I'm very glad to be a part of it. And, you know, it works so well because all of us up here, we do it for the reason of wanting to be real. So that can never be overstated. So yeah, everybody, please go and check out Soul Purpose on alternatecurrentradio.com. We got a couple new episodes up there, and I hope to be speaking again with y'all very shortly.
All right, that's Mindspace Art, everybody, and don't forget he has a premiere of his most recent episode tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Come down to the Discord, join our Discord if you haven't yet. You can find a invite to it in the main menu at alternatecurrentradio.com. Over to the Wandering Wolf to get us out of here, I think. Wandering Wolf, I think we hit it tonight. You know, the social rejects have arrived on a couple new platforms here, and we want to help fix the media. We want to be part of the media that is not slimy and polarizing and terrible. You know, we want to be able to be ourselves and have our conversations, and in doing so, encourage other people that the mainstream narratives that they're being fed don't necessarily reflect reality. And we're going to go wherever we need to go to remain the voices of those conversations. We may not be wizard journalists who can decode everything for you, but we certainly are a network of smart people who have a lot of different backgrounds and different areas of expertise with common goals in mind. And I'd say the big part of that is, let's give ourselves and the people that support us and follow us and listen to us and share us and watch us a media that they deserve, right?
That is absolutely 100% correct there, Hesher. And, you know, I think about something that the French postmodernist philosopher Jean Baudrillard said about the desert of the real. And something about that quote has always bothered me, because I've always kind of thought to myself, well, why should the real be a desert? Why can't it be a garden? And that's how I feel about what we're doing here at ACR, is we are making a garden. And we're all coming from disparate backgrounds with all these different experiences and disciplines, and coming together for a collective purpose of making something that is absolutely amazing, unprecedented, and frankly fucking awesome. And I'm glad to be a part of it. So, I mean, it just feels good to be part of a tribe of fellow media maniacs and social rejects. And I just appreciate each and every one of you on the call, everyone that I work with here at ACR, and all the listeners out there. Everyone, take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for all of your support, your devotion, your love, your humor, and your good cheer over the years. It's so fun to work with all of you. The last thing I guess I want to say is just, a praxeology for being an individual human being. Now, that's an interesting thing to consider creating. And I like to think that we're doing part of that just in having these conversations, is getting people to think a little bit about, okay, what is the practice of being an individual? Because I think we all have a responsibility as we engage in the world and engage with meaning to be able to define it in a way that is unique. And this is a great way to do just that. So thanks for having me tonight, and I can't wait to do it again. It's been fun.
Yes, yes, yes. That is the Wandering Wolf, everybody. Mr. Corey Drayton joining us for this 458th Boiler Room tonight. It's approaching midnight over here in Texas. The live stream counter says we've been on air for quite a while. So this has been, I honestly thought that this might be the sort of show where we were doing a little bit of tech setup and knock a couple ideas back and forth and then punch out, and take our lessons learned from the tech setup. But it's been an epic Boiler Room. We had a Jay Dyer sighting in the chat. It was great to see Jay. Thanks to him once again for
Shout out to JD.
That's right. Shout out to Jay for getting us the invite over here at Rockfin. Big shout out to Rockfin for reaching out and giving us the opportunity to stream over here with all the other familiar faces. There's some great streamers over here at Rockfin. Some of our friends and colleagues and people we've worked with in the past and people we look up to, and just real nice, cool environment over here. And shout out to the YouTubes also. Thanks for having us tonight, YouTube. Did we behave okay? I hope so. We did our best. Actually, we just was ourselves and enjoyed it very much. So that's it, everybody. Once again, we are running our spring Shillin' for Sanity donation drive right now to get us through the rest of the year and into next year as we complete phases 3 and 4 of our business relaunch, redevelopment, and our building of a unfuckwithable, uncancelable network. That's ultimately what we want. We want something functional. We want something that we, and more importantly, you, the listeners, viewers, members, subscribers, deserve. All right. So we'll do our best to make that happen. And anybody that wants to support us, alternatecurrentradio.com/support. That's where you find out how. And that's it, everybody. We're out of here.
That's it. Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
All right, everybody. Hang tight. I'm going to try to figure out how to turn off all these encoders. Thanks once again, everybody.